Mysterious screams coming from the basement. Oh, wait, no. From beneath the basement. Catching exotic fish with human-like teeth in your own backyard. And a naval experiment that may have went horribly wrong.
Get comfortable. Turn off the lights. It's Monthly Spooky.
Well, my friends, it is that time of the month, and I'm here. I'm Enrique Couto here with my good buddy, Michelle. Michelle, how are you doing?
I don't know.
That's a good story, and I appreciate you. And this is Monthly Spooky, the kind of month wrap-up show we do here at Weekly Spooky, where we read some creepy news stories and have a fun time. And I picked a topic for the second month in a row that is about not about, but it's related to your life.
That's weird.
Well, yeah, we're going to be, I'm going to tell you now, this is one of the evil things about me is that I almost never let you know what the topic of the show is going to be until we're actually already on the air.
Yeah.
This week, I was inspired because I went and saw Oppenheimer.
Oh.
Which I really enjoyed. Thought it was a really cool movie. Not a 5-star movie, but definitely a 4-star movie. In fact, I heard the best description of that movie ever, which was Justin Robert Young on We're Not Wrong podcast said, he said, finally, a Chris Nolan movie I enjoyed, and I don't have to pretend like I understood what it was about by reading the Wikipedia page. So I agree. Like, it was not a big confusing mess like some of Nolan's stuff. Not saying it's not brilliant, just saying confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But that was all about the Manhattan Project, right?
Yeah.
Which was where they gathered all the scientists and all that. Well, that made me think about another project. No, not the Blair Witch Project. Although that would have been cool too.
Oh.
No, the Philadelphia Experiment.
Oh.
You don't know about it, do you?
I don't know if I know about it.
Well, we'll get into it in a little bit. Obviously we got to build up to it first. This is the foreplay of the show. But Chell, I want to tell you, I have a feeling you're going to be very jealous of me today.
I mean, probably.
Because I had the delight, my birthday's coming up really soon. And it's in September. Well, it's soon enough that the BMV was like, hey, you're going to need to renew your license.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I lost my social security card last time I got a driver's license.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if literally, I'll take the blame, but I don't know if I lost it or the people that handled my documentation lost it because I didn't realize it was gone until I had left. And then when I called and said, do you have a social security card with Enrique Couto on it? They didn't. So, and yet my credit score has only gone up. So things are probably on the up and up.
Oh no.
You know what? We should become kindly identity thieves. Like we steal your identity and then we get a Discover card and then we put like $2,000 on it and then we pay it off and we just keep getting the credit limit raised until your FICO score goes up 35 points.
That was definitely on some show, but I don't know what it was.
Well, as a, I don't mean this to be political at all, but as a Hispanic American, you really want your paperwork. It just feels like you should. Like, there's something about the dichotomy of being like, yes, I would like papers. My name is Enrique Couto. And they're like, really? And I'm like, sure is. Where were you born? Don't say Ecuador. Don't say Ecuador. Don't say Ecuador. Ecuador? Fuck! No, but no, but it's just kind of funny. Like, I'll be sitting there. I'm like, okay, well, I still have my birth certificate. And I don't have to have my social security card to get my license renewed, but they did. I got one of those special licenses in Ohio that's like a national license.
Oh, the one that I have to get or I'm not going to be allowed to travel anymore?
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Well, I got one early. I opted in early because they were like, hey, all you have to do is bring in it was 4 identification things instead of 2 or something. But they made it sound like the next time I renewed, I wouldn't need a ton of documentation anymore because you go through it once.
Yeah.
Nope. Now I have to bring all 4 things again.
Wow.
And I could bring like a W-9 or whatever with my social security number on it. But I was like, I've been putting off forever getting a new social security card.
You should get a new social security card. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Well, when I lost it, you couldn't just order it on the internet.
Yeah.
From the dark web.
Oh, okay.
And they're only Italian names. I don't understand that part, but no, you can now sign up with the Social Security office and they'll mail you one. So that's what I was doing when I was worried I was going to run late for today's show.
Okay.
Is I was signing everything up and then like punching in all the info. Luckily, because I have that special ID, my driver's license number made it way easier to get a new Social Security number.
Okay,
so
good.
At least there's that.
Good. Yeah.
So, no, I know. I put it off because there was also a part of me that just didn't believe I lost it. That was like, it's in the house. No, it's not.
Sure.
Because I always kept my Social Security number and my birth certificate in the same safe place with each other.
Right.
Always. And yeah. So, like, and with my passport and all that's good stuff. So,
okay. Well,
and like the key that, you have the other one. And if we both turn it, goodbye Earth.
What yeah. Oh, now I just want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about my stuff.
You want to talk about our 2 keys to destroy the planet? Nice. I like it. No, so I applied. They said I should have it in 10 to 14 days. And I think by government speak, that means I'll have it by December.
Mm-hmm.
So
something like that. Yeah.
I'm hopeful that these are a better agency than the Copyright Office.
Probably, because I think that like this is a more urgent thing for people. So that means
clearly you've never needed to show a copyright notice to the Federal Trade or not the Federal Trade Commission, the World Trade Organization. That's the one that needed to see it.
Oh.
Yeah, the FTC is cool, but the World Trade Organization, every time I have a movie that I'm going to sell overseas, they're like, okay, but this time, did you use slavery? I'm like, no. And they're like, can you prove it? And I'm like, oh man. I wish I was joking. That's one of the things you have to do is you have to provide documentation that suggests you did not use forced labor.
Wow.
Yeah, well, but the documentation is basically just prove that you operate in America because slavery is illegal in America. So it's not like I don't have to like show pictures of people like giving thumbs up and then photoshopping the gun out of the photo,
yeah.
So just highlighting the firearm in AI and saying replace with ice cream cone.
Yeah.
So wow, these people really like ice cream. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That hand has like 30 fingers on it. I don't know.
But yeah, so I got a new one on its way.
Good.
My birthday is September 10th. So as soon as I get the card, I'm just going to go get a new license. I'm notorious for doing it way early. I'll do it like as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So plus I know where the good BMV is.
Yeah, that's sad that you have to go to your motor vehicle place to get a license.
I actually don't know if I have to go in anymore, to be honest. Right now I have to get all the documentation. I might be able to do it online.
I would think you probably have to do it. I just mean that I don't have to go to my motor vehicle place to do it.
Where do you go? Like Walgreens? What are you talking about?
To the AAA. Yay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a couple of AAAs and they're just centers for stuff. So you go there and no one else is there. Yay. Because I don't know where everyone else is going. So
I'm assuming you have a DMV or a BMV.
I have some sort of PennDOT thing.
Ah, okay. Yeah, Pennsylvania is weird. In Ohio, we have the Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So BMV. I haven't been to my local one in 10 years at least because it was always like an unbelievable line.
Mm-hmm.
So then one day my mother was like, go to the BMV in Centerville, Ohio. And I was like, why? And she was like, you'll see. So I went and not only is there no line because they do tickets. So you take a ticket and then you get to sit in a comfy chair.
Like in New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, like in New Jersey. Anyway, no, okay, but it's Ohio, so I was able to sit in a comfy chair with a gun. Okay, that was actually I'm pretty certain you cannot have a gun in the building, but that's neither here nor there. But But no, so it's just like way more comfy, and there's not a lot of people there because Centerville's not a very big area, but it's a very affluent area.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you take your driver's test out here, everybody knows you go to Xenia to do your driver's test because there's no line because it's kind of the middle of the country.
That's so weird.
That's just what we do.
It's just weird because it should make it busy there if everybody goes there.
And that's when I say everybody, I mean like my mother made me do it there because she was like, it'll be way easier.
Yeah.
And she made my sister do it there because it would be way easier. I took driver's classes at a BMV, like a local one where they test people when I was 17. And it was really friggin' busy there. I'm glad I didn't take my test there. It was crowded all the time. So, plus when you take a test in like a place like Xenia, Ohio is like, it's not like farmland, but it's a town surrounded by farmland, you know, like it's a very nice little town, and people are going to be like, nice, whatever. Okay, whatever. Shut up. I like Xenia. It's fine. It's like, well, why don't you go to Xenia? I don't have to prove anything to you, and I don't want to go to Xenia because I don't need a driver's license. Leave me alone. Okay. No, but so Xenia, yeah, you could go there and get your license, but it's also like, it's in the middle of nowhere. So like the parking lot's huge. It's very relaxed. Like you have tons of room to drive around during the driving portion of your test. You know, like it was better.
Good.
So, but for all I know, the BMV near me is great now, but I'm still going to Centerville. So
I think that's fine.
Also, it's a pretty drive.
Good.
So, Centerville is like my favorite because I would never live there because I don't find Centerville that charming. Like the neighborhoods, they're fine, but they look a little too hoity-toity to me.
Yeah.
My problem is like if I'm gonna have a big fancy house, I don't want to have a neighbor right next to me.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have a modest home that I really like, and because it's modest and I live in a modest neighborhood, I don't mind that my neighbor is like 12 feet away or 15 feet away or whatever it is. It doesn't bother me because it's like, yeah, we all like our little modest houses, and part of that agreement for them being modest is that we can see each other and hear each other, have sex or whatever. Yeah. So it's a very good system. No, but I'm so glad I don't live in apartments anymore. But, oh man.
Must be nice not to have to share a wall with someone.
Oh yeah. Little Miss Duplex over here. Sorry. It's your fault.
Yeah, but there's not like I had the choice.
I mean, I think your house is really cute though.
Thanks.
But also, you can hope that your neighbor will like die in an accident and then you can buy it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want him to die, but I hope one day he will move in a long time when I'm financially stable and I'm going to buy it and turn it into some sort of studio for I don't know what.
I like that.
Yeah. And I'm going to knock out a wall so we can go back and forth.
I had a friend who owned a duplex in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Big duplex. I mean, I would say that each side of it was about the size of both of your house and your neighbor's house combined. It was really big.
To be fair to anyone listening, we're talking about twins, semi-detached houses.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry,
Madam Home Inspector.
Sorry.
But no, I was just gonna say. So she bought the other side, but it was in really rough shape, and like when I was visiting, she was still not remodeling it, but renovating it. So when she'd be like, "Hey, do you want to go look at the other side of the house?" I'd be like, "Okay." And then we would go up the stairs where the wall like met, and it had just been like hammered out with a sledgehammer. So she'd be like, "Just watch the splinters." We were wearing shoes, just watch the splinters. And I was like, "This is ridiculous." I love it, but it also made me not want to share walls with anyone. When I looked at it, I was like, "Wow, it took you like 6 minutes to get this hole in the wall."
Yeah, it's not great.
So, but anyway, I'm in a very digressive mood, apparently. I do want to say real quick, huge thank you to everybody involved in the 200th episode of Weekly Spooky, including you, Michelle, who gave your voice talents to the episode. Very grateful. If you haven't had a chance to listen to the 200th episode of Weekly Spooky yet, please do give it a listen. We worked really hard on it. It's an audio drama. It's super fun. That's all. So, and unfortunately, before we go to a break and then get to the spooky news, I didn't have a chance to make any major changes to the crypt for you this month, Michelle.
It's okay. You don't have to change it every month.
Well, I had a really bad stomach flu at the start of the month, so I didn't really have time to like work on it. And then I got really inspired this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So next time you're in here, if everything goes properly, every piece of wall space will be covered in Social Security cards.
Wow.
Yeah, it turns out if you just hit back and accept again and again and again and again, I mean, it's an unlimited Social Security card hack. So
wow, you can just get so many just in case you lose it again. Just take it off the wall.
Yeah, I will say I was pleased that I didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah,
unless they send me a bill, which would not surprise me at all. I hate the government. All right, so let's stop talking about the most mundane things in life and start talking about some of the not mundane things in life. So right after this break, we'll be back with the spooky news. All right, we are back. And do you want to do the honors, Michelle, or do you want me to? Because I don't mind if you do, because I've been doing it a lot.
Oh, you could totally do it. That's fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. And now it's time for the spooky news.
The spooky news.
Yeah, that was better than I could do.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you're good, but I like compliments, so I'm just going to say thank you. So this story, you want to take a guess where it's from?
Do you want a right guess or a wrong guess?
Wrong guess. It's funnier.
I don't know.
That was wrong. I mean, I can't fault you on that.
Sorry. Mirror.co.uk.
That's the one. That should be the monthly spooky shirt. It should be an illustration of us like on microphones. Mm-hmm. And then me say, and then all it says is a voice bubble for me saying mirror.co.uk. But yeah, this one's from mirror.co.uk and it says, inside abandoned haunted house so terrifying, the owner refuses to step foot in the door. Although that just sounds like a slumlord to me, but
yeah.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
They should sell it if they're not going to go in it. Jeez.
Yeah, really. Well, they're not. Well, or maybe they're trying to. Okay. All I know is I've heard of lots of owners of properties not ever setting foot there.
Yeah.
So the owners of a haunted house, it's in quotes, said they have been left so terrified by mysterious screams they refuse to step back inside.
Can you imagine someone is screaming for help and you're like, okay, that's enough for me.
All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Adios, muchachos. No, like, I don't even know how to respond to, like, we're just hearing constant bellowing screams, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, sounds awful. Alan and Christine Tate said their home was hiding a dark secret as they have been plagued by sinister noises since 2018. Okay, so it wasn't a presidential election that caused the screaming, so we're troubleshooting. We're like eliminating causes as we go. Have they tried turning the house off and on, off and back on?
We'll always try that first, so I hope so.
In June of that year, Christine was making a coffee in the kitchen at the house in Ammanford, Carmarthenshire. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. Carmarthenshire. Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
But while she stood over the kettle, she became convinced she could hear strange noises. I wonder if they sounded like...
Yeah.
In the weeks that followed, the couple were disturbed by the sounds of women and children screaming. Okay, so it was women and children. Do you think so far we've established that the screaming, oh no. Wait, hold on, there's more.
Okay.
Of women and children screaming, heavy knocking, and men talking in a foreign language.
Wow.
This just sounds like there's a trafficking ring in your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that wrong? That's what it sounds like to me?
Or do they have any neighbors they're connected to that have a trafficking ring in their house?
And I'm not seeing any photos. I haven't shared them with you yet, but I haven't seen any. Okay, there's one outside photo, but like I don't think they share walls, but I guess we'll see if this journalist is worth their weight, in salt, because they better figure that out. So, yeah, men talking in a foreign language. We often make a reference, me and my buddies make, where it's like they were Asian. They were speaking Asian. Like, there's just something funny about and a foreign language. It's like, I wish they could be a little bit more specific, like a foreign language that sounded like, could you just go with it reminded me of Spanish, or it reminded me of German, or it was gibberish, or
yeah.
Like that would be helpful though.
Yeah.
To just have a very base level, I don't know, maybe kind of Eastern European or Arabic, or, or like just something other than just foreign language. Cause she could be talking about somebody speaking in tongues.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Latin, which would be kind of weird.
It would be odd.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments on my Freddy Krueger podcast. Was David said he took Latin for 4 years in high school. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, speak some Latin right now. No answer. Although they had lived in the house, for 11 years.
Huh.
Within weeks, the couple left and vowed never to return. Did they also vow never to pay their mortgage? Because then I wonder.
I have so many questions. Because, if I heard people screaming and then yelling at people who were screaming in a different language, or really in any language in my house, my first thought would be, okay, what the fuck? And then maybe I have to call the police or something.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, my first instinct would be to call the police, and hope it's not a printer, because I learned from you.
It was just one time.
My printer, in my defense, my printer is always within 6 feet of me in my office where I usually work, and it does go off randomly and scare me quite a bit. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting here doing weekly spooky, and I'm like, as he opened the door, he realized, and I'm like, fine, I'll start over. People don't realize, or maybe they do, and that's why they like it, that when they're listening to Weekly Spooky, they're listening to a soon to be 37-year-old man sitting in a dark room with a microphone scaring himself. That's all it is. I am the same as I was when I was 7. I just reading spooky stories and going, ooh, scary. Anyway, that should be, I should save that clip. That should be a part of the intro of the show now.
Yeah.
Ooh, scary.
I like that, actually.
The couple who moved into a camper van set up. Why are you making a face like that?
I'm just getting annoyed at these people. It's fine.
They moved into a camper van, set up recording devices around the house to investigate the noises. Quote, it was like a flushing noise that I heard first, Christine told Wales Online. Quote,
toilet?
I told Alan about it and that I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. He left his phone in the bathroom with the recorder on to try to pick up the source of the noise, and then we could hear a machine running. We started to record all over the house, and we picked up sounds of chains, a motorbike starting, and people screaming.
So motorbike might be outside. That's one.
I mean, usually they are.
Yeah. Also, why would it be in your house? Also, you're hearing weird flushing, motor running things. You need to contact someone to take a look at what's going on with your plumbing and stuff. This is weird. I don't like this. Makes me sad.
You should become instead of a paranormal investigator, you should be a paranormal home inspector. What you do is fly all over the world inspecting haunted houses. But then when people say okay, so how do I get rid of the demon? You're like, oh, I don't know it, but I will tell you that your foundation, it's doing fine, but I'd have a structural engineer look at it just to be sure. And then you just write them a regular home report.
No, I really want to do that. How do I get people to let me do that?
I think it would start with a Patreon. You definitely have to make videos out of it. That's the only way that it would be self-sustaining.
Totally.
You're just writing up a report. Yeah, so good news. The blood coming out of the walls, not related to the plumbing. So honestly, I mean, if you can keep that cleaned up, the sheetrock seems in good shape. I don't know how long that'll last, but right now it's really looking pretty good. The wiring, I would switch to circuit breakers, but that's really personal preference. I'm just making things. I've never home inspected before, but
No,
you're a home inspector. What would you? Okay, so like, say you're inspecting a house that like the walls bleed.
So that's a problem because you don't want humidity in your house and moisture, and blood is mostly water, I guess. So when it dries up, it's gonna like leave it, like there's gonna be more moisture in the air. So first you want to get a dehumidifier for the blood, and then and you also like gotta like make sure it's wiped up too, because you don't want it to affect the wallpaper or the sheetrock or whatever it's on. And then so there's that. The screaming is definitely the pipes. Pipes don't usually scream like that though, so you want to get a plumber out to see why they're making that noise. Oh, and your whole house is filled with carbon monoxide, and you're all gonna die tomorrow. So,
I just imagine the plumber walk in. Ding, ding, ding. He's just knocking on the pipe, and then here's like, help, help, and he's like, yeah, your mains are clogged. Like, really? The mains clogged sounds like people screaming for help. He's like, yeah. If they were yelling, I was murdered, then that's usually something else. But if it's just help, that's the mains. $700.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good deal to get them to stop screaming.
Oh my God. I've since becoming a homeowner in October, I really like, it's funny because like I've realized I make a lot more jokes about owning houses, and a lot more of my older friends laugh at them, and that's when I realized, oh, it's trauma bonding. We're all bonded by the abusive relationship we have with our property. The Tates, both 62, soon realized the noises were subterranean and appeared to be coming from underneath the basement that sits below the kitchen. They even got police. Round who couldn't find the source of the noise.
But we found it. It's underneath the kitchen.
I guess they mean the specific source. Like they were like, it's coming from under here, but we don't know like what it is.
I mean, you don't want to excavate under your foundation because you might upset the footings and cause structural problems.
Sure.
But someone needs to find out if there's like a cavity down there, if something's going on, if they literally have people being like kept somewhere under their house that need help, but no one wants to help them because they think that they're ghosts.
I mean, that is like the perfect cover up for a human trafficking ring. Like, oh, this house is just super haunted. Yeah. People say all kinds of things like, oh, the walls are bleeding, or I see an image in the window, or I, bring in 85 women every night and they never leave. It's all just a bunch of weirdness, just odd. Super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally odd.
It's all the ghosts.
It's all the ghosts. But Alan was not deterred. He dug 2 1.5 meter channels into the walls and put recording equipment inside. Okay, fine. Like,
what? Just recording equipment? Because like you could get something that like you can see in the walls, like
an
you get
endoscope?
a borescope. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not expensive anymore either.
I mean, if you want a good one, they are, but
but I mean, you could always get like the $9 one on Amazon that like the app you download definitely steals your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a good start. You'd be like, this is how I'm going to figure out,
exactly.
if I need an expert.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what he found, he said, was horrifying.
What? What did he find?
From, quote, a woman screaming, sexual sounds, dogs barking, a motorbike, and a car horn.
Okay, so we got that the motorbike and the car horn are definitely outside.
Very likely, I would say.
So we can take those out.
The chilling noises amounted to hundreds of hours of recordings. Do you know are you familiar with the story of the Amityville Horror?
I guess.
Well, a lot of people believe that the Lutzes, who the book was about, a book based on true story or true account. A lot of people believe a lot of people believe that what really happened was the Lutzes bought a house they couldn't really afford. So they were trying to come up with a reason to leave and ditch it and not, be heavily penalized. And that then it turned into a cash cow because of the book and then the movie.
Right.
I have to admit that doesn't sound outrageous. Like, stress from a mortgage you can't afford is really, really unpleasant.
Yeah.
So, and it was a giant, beautiful house on a little water space. And anyway, I wouldn't be shocked. The couple accumulated hundreds of hours of recordings of the different sounds, all of which they claimed were coming from beneath their house. Oh goodness.
Even the car horn.
Especially the car horn.
Jeez.
The pair now travel around the UK warning others about their ordeal and trying to spread word about what is going on in Ammanford.
What the fuck I'm so confused. I'm so confused.
I want to mention I'm proud of the fact that it only took us a year to just not care about no swearing at all. Not even to try. No, I'm fine with it. Shit. So... Quote, hundreds of people have been in touch with us and agreed that this needs to be properly looked at, said Alan. All I really want is an explanation. Why are there people screaming? There must be something going on. We have placed microphones all over the place because we wanted to prove or disprove what we were hearing. Were these noises coming from the main road? Were they coming from a park? We put microphones at the front of the house, at the back of the house, inside and out, and in the basement. The device we left in the basement picked up the screaming and other noises. The other devices, which were recording simultaneously at the front and back of the property, picked up nothing at all. I will say, there are a couple of pictures of the property. I'm going to show these to you. It doesn't look like a great place to live.
Oh, shit.
I mean, they must have been remodeling because there's just a toilet with no anything.
Oh, there's just a toilet there.
But it looks like an abandoned house.
Maybe that's the basement, and so
maybe it is. There's a washer and dryer.
Yeah.
There's no caption on the picture to tell me what I'm looking at. But thank God it says image by Robert Mellon.
Yeah. Thank you. What about that other one down there?
Oh, we'll get to it. Why don't you just relax? Jeez.
Okay.
Quote, we put microphones at the front. Oh, I read that. The device we left in the basement picked up the screaming and other. Okay, I said that too. The couple sent Wales Online a key to the house, but warned reporters would be entering the property at their own risk. Technically, that's always true. Okay, you can walk in here, but it's at your own risk.
Yeah. Also, they didn't say anything bad ever happened to them in the house.
Yeah, no, other than being freaked out.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Despite being in a busy town center, the property is hidden down a narrow and lonely alleyway. The street is filled with shops and other commercial properties, bar one empty building next door that is up for sale. The kitchen sits directly above the now sealed off basement. So the basement is now sealed off.
Because they're so scared of it?
I guess so.
Yeah. If I hear people screaming, I'm going to go, okay, let's just close them in there.
Good luck breathing, jerks. The kitchen sits directly above the now sealed off basement. There is no direct access to the underground space other than down a small hole with 9 feet of darkness below it.
What the fuck?
So here's the kitchen. And this place is in really bad shape.
Yeah, I mean, you can see. I mean, it's not. I mean, I know there's clutter everywhere, but it's also not taken care of. You have tons of water stains on the ceiling.
Yeah, and that back wall, it looks like it's been torn up really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the regular walls and ceiling, they're all really spotted and bad looking.
Yeah,
and that says this is the kitchen above the basement.
Okay, so yeah.
I like how the way that they describe it, they're we just left and never returned. It's well, It looks like you are using it for storage space.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you never returned. There are like organized containers full of what I would assume is your belongings. Or maybe it's just of all the recordings of the screen.
Maybe.
Maybe. Although the journalists left a recording device at the edge of the hole for several hours, the only sound picked up was them leaving the property.
Yeah.
However, the Tates, who recorded inside the walls of the basement rather than above a hole in its ceiling, are adamant something is going on and have set up a petition to demand authorities investigate further. Okay, so I will say that lends some credence. They're not saying like we want money. They're not saying like necessarily buy our book or whatever. But they do want the police to investigate. So that sounds a little bit more legitimate.
Yeah, because why? Unless they're just crazy, why would they want the police to investigate and not find anything? You know?
They claimed police were ignoring their concerns and that, quote, this matter needs an urgent, full investigation. The Dyfed Powys, man, England's weird, police confirmed it had received correspondence from Allen and officers attended the area in November of last year. They did not find evidence of wrongdoing. But the Tates believed there were men, women, and children living, sleeping, and working underneath the house.
Okay, so Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so they think what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Which is that if what they're saying is true, then it's something really way scarier than ghosts.
Yeah, and we did just say that there's a building that's not currently occupied next door, and they have basements, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that they've dug further or that they're hearing from a next door property.
Yeah, or that they share a wall and they don't know it because they've never been in that commercial property. Share a wall in the basement.
Yeah, exactly.
You just never know with stuff like that. I need to make you watch the movie Barbarian since it has homeowner jokes in it.
Okay.
I need to make you watch that. A guy finds like terrifying tunnels that are clearly for torture under his house.
Wow.
And the first thought he has is he Googles if he can add that to the square footage of the house he owns.
You can't. No, because it's unfinished space.
No, that's what he finds out. But so he starts measuring it, but it's just so funny because he's like thinking like he finds out you're allowed to list it as a bonus. You know, like you can say how much unfinished space you have. So he like is measuring it, but like it's so clearly a terrifying place, but he's just so excited about the prospect that his house is going to be worth more. You'd like it. And then it gets really messed up. Anyway, Allen believed that there were quote, quite a lot of people down there and is concerned it could be connected to people trafficking as well as drug manufacturing. Okay, now I get why they left the house. They think that like, they think there's like human and drug trafficking going on. I would also leave the house. I would also leave the house too. I actually, after, listening to you read this, I actually think they've done everything they possibly can do. Besides get a borescope, which they really should do. Yeah, but at the same time, the police should care a little bit.
Yeah.
Which makes me worry that these small town cops are like just, they know some stuff they just aren't supposed to look into.
Maybe.
It's Europe, man. I know we have a lot of European listeners. I just found out like we have a lot of English listeners, especially. Your country's bad. I don't know. No, but it's just, it's scary. It's really scary. And I don't blame this couple. Well, this is one of the first times we ever read an article and it got more reasonable. Yeah. As we read it. Like now I'm on this couple's side. Like, Absolutely. Why isn't someone investigating? Like the only thing is, see, if this was in America, it'd be like, well, if the cops aren't going to do nothing, get some buddies over with shotguns. You bust down some walls. We find out. But, since they're in England, it's like, I have a paring knife. I'll fight you, human trafficker. Come on, tally for. Anyway, I apologize to our UK listeners and sweet Patreon backers who I've now made quit. The couple refused to turn to Ammanford and said they were fearful for their own safety. They would not say where in the UK they currently live and did not want photographs of themselves in the press. Okay. This does not sound at all like what I assumed. Yeah.
And also now I get the going around the country thing.
Yeah. Quote, we're traveling around the country handing out posters and flyers about what we think is going on, said Allen. And here's a image of the exterior of the house.
Oh, good. Oh.
It is in really bad shape.
And it does look like there's a house. I mean, if I'm understanding this picture correctly, they're very close to other houses. They're like on top of them.
But that lends credence to what they're afraid of. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Quote, we want as many people as possible to know about this so that the police are urged to carry out a more thorough investigation. Quote, we don't want to go back until the matter has been resolved. I think we're dealing with a serious criminal gang here, and I think our lives could be in danger if they knew we were where we were. Wow, that article was actually great.
Yeah.
Wow. I really feel for them.
Me too. And possibly the people who are being kept maybe against their will.
Yeah, those people too.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back with even more spooky news. And we're back with even more spooky news. That last story was legitimately, I think maybe too spooky.
Yeah.
So, in all seriousness, I know we talked about that topic a lot, but real quick, on the break, we listened to a little bit of one of the recordings.
Mm-hmm.
If they faked it, they worked really hard to fake it.
Yeah.
It absolutely sounds like people are doing bad things nearby.
Yeah.
It creeped me out so much. I sent you the link. I was like, you can look at this on your own if you want. I'm tired. I don't want to look at it anymore. But if you want to be terrified, hashtag Ammon Ford Screams. AMMAN Ford FORD Screams. If you do a hashtag of that on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, you will regret it. So,
yay.
But now we're going to go to something a little bit less awful.
Maybe.
Yeah, honestly, that article really took us places we were not expecting in any way, shape, or form. We are going to check out this article from NPR, your favorite place in the world. And it says a record-breaking Burmese python as long as a giraffe is tall was caught in Florida.
I knew it was going to be Florida.
Well, when I saw the article, I assumed it was just going to simply not be America.
Oh, okay.
So when it said Florida, I was like, huh. So, and hold on, I'll show you a picture. Sadly, it is dead.
No. Oh, it's really dead.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not that long.
They might have killed. Did you say it's not that long?
Yeah.
It's 19 feet long.
It's like just some two guys and some slack. I don't know.
That's almost four of you standing. That is four of you if you're standing on your shoulders, because you lose like a little bit of height.
Mm-hmm.
That's like four of you standing on your shoulders.
I guess.
Fine. Well, I found this interesting because Florida never ceases to amaze for so many reasons. It really does. I remember I used to, back in the day when the Adam Carolla show first started, they had that thing where it was like you had to guess, is it Germany or Florida? They'd read you an article about something messed up and you had to guess. And it was not easy. A 19-foot Burmese python, the longest ever recorded. Okay, so not just in America, but ever.
Wow.
That surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
But also makes me wonder if Disney created it.
It's possible.
They do all kinds of stuff in Florida.
Yeah.
Florida, because there's an OR. It's not Florida. Michelle.
Okay, I mean, I don't think English has the kind of rules you think it has, but all right.
Was caught by local hunters in South Florida's Big Cypress National Preserve this week. To put the catch into perspective, the snake is as long as an adult giraffe is tall.
Yeah, I don't have a giraffe nearby so that I can see that, but okay.
Yeah, like they need to tell us how many Ariana Grande's tall is
it.
That gives us good perspective.
Yeah.
Americans will do anything to avoid the metric system. It was caught on Monday by 22-year-old Jake Walleri, who brought the python to the Conservancy of Southwest Florida in his hometown of Naples, the Conservancy said. Officials there measured the snake at 19 feet and 125 pounds.
Wow.
And said it set a new world record for length.
Wow.
That is your ultimate move at a bar talking to girls.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I set a new world record for length. And then they like pepper spray you. And you're like,
Yeah.
And you're like, ow, fair.
Like, I was talking about a snake. I'm
and
sorry.
then they pepper spray you even more.
Yeah.
And then you have like a photo of it in your pockets. You're like, hold on, I'll show you. You reach into your pocket, they pepper spray you even more.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps going worse and worse. A video of Waleri's record-breaking catch on Instagram shows the python lunging at Waleri as he pulls the snake onto the road by its tail.
Wow.
Waleri and the snake wrestled on the ground until others joined in to help peel the snake off of the hunter.
Wow.
Oh, and this might help. The reason that they killed it is that pythons are an invasive species in Florida.
I knew that. That's why when you said python, that's why I said, oh, I thought it would probably be Florida or whatever I said. Yeah, they're a problem.
Yeah. Well, now I don't feel quite as bad. I can appreciate that invasive species need to go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently the state permits residents to humanely catch and kill the snakes to prevent them from wreaking havoc on the ecosystem.
Mm.
But
killing people, probably?
That one could kill somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably wouldn't, but it could. Fully capable.
Yeah.
Also, like, never mind. Now that I've heard this part of the story and the Instagram video, no, I think you could pick up chicks at a bar with that. So anyway, I wrestled a 19-foot long python. It's like, what? Oh my God, is that Instagram? Like, yeah, babe, that's me.
Sure, other people had to help me, and so I didn't die.
Hey,
but, yeah.
That's toxic masculinity to say that you have to do it by yourself.
That's true.
No.
Yeah.
He accepts help. He is sensitive.
Yeah.
Now go have anonymous sex with him. Burmese pythons are one of the largest snakes on the planet. They're also an invasive species running rampant through much of southern Florida. They're wreaking havoc on the state's native animal populations because pythons have no natural predators in Florida. Until now. No. Which is why Waleri spends his nights hunting these monstrous predators.
Wow.
That's actually, I mean, that's good. That's being a conservationist, though. I mean, yeah, it's in a hunting way, but like he literally spends his free time like trying to catch and kill invasive species. That's good for Florida. Yeah,
like those people in Florida that have businesses where they kill and they trap no, I was right. Iguanas.
Oh, are they invasive?
Yes.
I just know they're there a lot.
They're not supposed to be there.
And they're good eating.
They have salmonella.
So does chicken. That's why you cook it.
Yeah. But no, like they mess up foundations and like dig in stuff and they give everyone salmonella. They're really bad. And then they fall out of trees because they get too cold.
I have heard about them falling out of trees because they get cold and apparently not being dead. They're just like suspended.
Yeah.
Crazy. Let's see. Quote, "It's awesome to be able to make an impact on South Florida's environment," he said in the news release. "We love this ecosystem and try to preserve it as much as possible." The previous record was set in 2020 by a python caught in the Everglades, stretching 18 feet and 9 inches and weighing 104 pounds.
Oh, it was a thin one.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
The record for the heaviest Burmese python ever captured was set by one caught by the Conservancy in June of 2022 at a whopping 215 pounds.
Wow. How like long was it though?
Apparently not more than 18 feet and 9 inches because it wasn't a world record.
Yeah.
According to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, these pythons pose such a big threat that hunters and residents alike don't need a permit to kill them. The reptiles are, however, protected by anti-cruelty laws, which require hunters to humanely kill the snakes.
So they can't torture them. Okay.
You sound so disappointed.
I don't know.
You're just like, look, if you're going to go all the way, go all the way.
Exactly. You're going to kill it anyway. What does it matter how you kill it? It's
Nothing
dead.
matters.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh. This is getting so dark so quick. Burmese pythons feast on Florida wildlife, big and small, from rabbits and house pets to foxes and white-tailed deer.
Oh, no.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, if they're that big, yeah, they'd eat a deer. And one Instagram clip from 2022 shows Florida scientists removing a 5-foot-long alligator from an 18-foot python.
Oh,
during a necropsy. So like
he ate it.
It ate a 5-foot-long alligator.
Wow.
Yeah, they need to go. That's alligators. Like alligators are so deadly creatures, and so perfectly deadly that they haven't like changed in millions of years.
Mm-hmm.
And the pythons are just like, oh, that's not okay. I can't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Makes sense though why they wouldn't be able to escape, because their mouths are so weak when they're closed, like to open. You know, like the muscles to open their jaws are so weak. That's why you can tape their mouths shut.
Oh, I thought we just had really strong tape.
No, it's because all of the pressure is on the closing, the snapping shut. So they just aren't that strong to open.
Oh.
So you really don't need, you can use electrical tape.
Oh.
I mean, for all I care. The state hosts an annual competition, the Florida Python Challenge. That just sounds like dudes who want to have muscles like Hulk Hogan. The Python Challenge, brother. Say your prayers, take your vitamins, and friggin' juice your buys. Man, I'm in a goofy mood today. Good for everybody, I guess. The Florida Python Challenge, in efforts to keep the populations at bay. The competition attracts professional hunters and amateurs alike, competing for prize money ranging from $1,000 to $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So what do you think? Are you I imagine you putting on a headband and being like, time to go to Florida. Like just like all like knives attached to every body part. You're just like, let's go. I mean, what would you do with $10,000 if you won the Florida Python Challenge?
I don't know. Probably not too much. Like just pay for stuff.
I really do appreciate the thought you put into that.
Yeah. Well, really, I would just pay for stuff. Oh.
You just pay for whatever.
Yeah, like I don't know. Put it in savings.
Okay. Well, now that we've had a story about invasive species, let's talk about wanted, like species you want in your neighborhoods and towns. I've been wanting to cover this since I first heard about it. This story is from the Dayton Daily News.
Oh.
My home newspaper.
Wow.
I live in Dayton, Ohio, the Paris of Ohio. And it's all about, I'm wearing the t-shirt. It's all about a giant werewolf, but not like
good.
you think.
Okay.
So the article's title is Giant Werewolf, 12-foot Skeleton, Cities Rarely Police Outsized Yard Displays.
Yeah.
There's a reason why this is so awesome. It's not just because I love Halloween and werewolves. I also hate meddling governments.
Mm-hmm.
So this just ticks, and it's in Piqua, Ohio, which is literally not even a half an hour from me. It's the Dayton area.
Mm-hmm.
Like my buddy Dave, who I do a podcast with, he lives in Troy, which is only like 7 or 8 minutes from Piqua. Like,
okay.
So I have friends who live, I used to do wrestling shows in Piqua. They have a really nice National Guard armory. So City of Piqua said removing werewolf statue would be, quote, neighborly thing to do after complaint, but didn't pursue further. Good. The 12-foot tall skeleton that towers over the Miamisburg yard of Cindy White and Jason Thurman is a Halloween decoration, but the couple have left him in the yard and dress him up for all holidays. The gigantic figure, which the couple has named Frank, has been up for almost a year and is part of a growing trend of giant year-round decorations in people's yards.
Yeah.
That trend has led some to question what people can and cannot put up on their private property, whether it be a giant skeleton or, as is the case at a Piqua home, a 10-foot tall decorated werewolf.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? You're festive. You like to decorate for holidays.
Yeah.
At least the two big ones, Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't decorate for any other holidays, do you?
Not really.
You don't like paint everything red, white, and blue around 4th of July, or like
I only did that 1 year, and then I was like, oh man, I got to paint everything back now.
or try to put up brown lights for November for Thanksgiving and then realize there is no such thing as brown.
That's mean. There has to be such thing as brown. I don't want to talk about this again.
I'm pretty sure it's just orange that lacks saturation.
No.
This is like the greatest rift of our friendship is the debate about if brown exists.
It does.
It does not. The trend has quote, I feel like it's your yard. You should be able to put whatever you want as long as it's not obscene or causing problems, White said. Well, first of all, I think if it's obscene, that's okay too. Mm-hmm. But I am a nightmare. Quote, my skeleton doesn't cause any problem. Neither does mine. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I wake up in the morning real rickety. He's been Christmas Frank, Valentine's Frank, and now he's Summer Frank.
Yeah.
He fell over right before Easter, so he didn't get to be the Easter bunny this year.
Aww.
Same, Frank. I get it. Oh, you want to see a picture of Frank, I'm sure.
Sure.
Hold on, my computer's acting a little funny. Where is that? Okay, here we go. So that's Frank, the giant skeleton. I like how he's almost as tall up to the he's almost up to the roof on a 2-story house.
Yeah.
That's so cool. White said neighbors and city residents welcome Frank because he brings them joy. Yeah. Quote, we put him on our Facebook chat page for the city and he has 1,100 likes in 24 hours with hundreds of comments of how everyone loves Frank, she said. They can't wait to see what he's dressed up like next. He doesn't distract anybody. I mean, people pull over and take pictures of him and tell us great job, but it's not causing an issue. Miamisburg city planner Andrew Rodney said that, to his knowledge, there is nothing specific in Ohio law that pertains to yard decorations on private property. Mm-hmm. Quote, locally, the city does not specifically regulate yard decorations unless they contain a vulgar or obscene message or they create a hazard within or adjacent to the public property or the public right-of-way, Rodney said. There is also no limitation on holiday decorations provided they do not contain a commercial message.
That's weird.
Why can't it contain a commercial message?
You can't put up like a Pepsi sign?
Yeah, like Christmas is better with Pepsi?
Yeah.
I'm putting that sign on my yard.
Yeah.
They could pry it from my cold, dead hands. Then he to finish the quote, he said, residents generally have the freedom to decorate their yard or home as they wish. Mm-hmm. Rodney cautioned that some neighborhoods have homeowners associations, covenants, and restrictions that may prevent some forms of, quote, personal expression, but those regulations are enforced by the HOA and not the city.
Yeah.
I know you don't have an HOA.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. I do not either. There was a time when they were trying to establish one in my neighborhood.
Why?
Because some people don't know how to watch TV or get laid.
Oh.
That's what I'm assuming.
It just sounds, I mean, even if you don't get laid, it just sounds like a bad idea. It's just like, I really want everyone to be angry at me. Yeah, totally.
Residents may feel the decorations of a neighbor are, quote, distasteful or tacky, but that is simply not something that is or can be regulated by a local government. Nope, only federal. You have to vote for the right president if you want this fixed. So here's where we talk about Phil. Mm-hmm. Piqua resident Mary Simmons has a nearly 10-foot tall werewolf standing in her front yard. She calls him Phil, and by now, Phil is known to a lot of people. He's on Facebook, Phil the Wolf 500, and other social media with reports featuring him posted from locations as far as the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Star Trek star George Takei even paid tribute to Phil earlier this week, tweeting, "Like it or not, it's here to stay."
Aww.
That makes me so happy because, first of all, I mean, the only thing better than standing up to like local tyrants, I know, I'm nuts, but local tyrants is doing it in a fun way, fun and expressive way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's Phil.
Oh, he's really big.
He's super big. Look at that.
Yeah.
I love him. The Piqua City Code compliance staff informed the owner earlier this month that a complaint was received and suggested the neighborly thing to do would be to remove the display, and said Brittany Pelter, city public relations / special events coordinator. And I'm assuming person who just, couldn't get a better job. I know. Yeah. I'm mean to the government. Oh, cry about it. Quote, the owner stated she would not be removing the display. Yeah. That's why this t-shirt. It literally says, Phil, come and take me. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And it's from a local print shop. So
That's
it's like,
cool.
It's so cool. I bought one for me and for Rachel. Come and take me. She said she would not be removing the display. Chris Schmeising, Piqua's Community and Economic Development Director, quote, the code official explained there is no code violation prompting enforcement action, and it is the owner's prerogative as to whether the display remains. Yeah.
So my only concern about that is that it may make people make a code in the future.
Yeah, but usually when you draw attention to something, usually that, it would depend, but you're not wrong. That could happen. But I think it's going to be more likely it's going to make people demand that this stay the same because everybody likes this.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I could just see them in like 5 years quietly passing something.
Oh, it won't be quiet. Not with Phil howling at the moon.
Yeah.
I love Phil.
They won't even tell Phil about it. They just do it.
Yeah. Governments are like that. Yeah. That's why we have to stay frosty and keep a giant werewolf on our lawn whenever possible.
Yeah.
City code enforcement would be needed if a decorative item was, quote, a public safety concern, Schmeising said. Simmons wrote on Facebook that she is dressing Phil for various holidays and plans to continue to do so. This week, he was holding an American flag and wearing a flag-themed shirt because Flag Day had just passed and Independence Day was around the corner. This article's from June. White said she doesn't see a reason why anyone would get worked up over a decoration that is supposed to be joyful.
Yeah.
Quote, nobody tells anybody to take down their pink flamingo yard decorations or their Christmas lights that have been on their house for 7 months. I take umbrage to that. Why so why is a skeleton or a werewolf any different than that, she said. To date, Miamisburg property maintenance inspectors have not had direct interaction with White or Thurman over their yard decoration, Rodney said. Quote, upon receiving a complaint, our inspectors investigated the complaint to determine if a violation was present, he said. Having not directly observed any vulgar or obscene messages, nor any danger to the public right-of-way, the matter was closed without further action. Yeah, shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
Well, so because one of the things, so I don't have a giant thing in my yard yet. That could be a thing any day now. You know me, it's very likely to be a thing, but, and that's a big but, I keep my Christmas lights up all year round. You do. And people will think that it's an accident or that I'm lazy. I mean, I am lazy, but it's on purpose. I love Christmas lights, and during 2020 during lockdown, I put my lights up and turned them on as like a celebration of like hope. And no one has said anything except my sweet neighbor across the street who wrote me a thank you note. Yeah. Which was the nicest thing ever. She wrote me a thank you note and said that every time she looks over at my house's Christmas lights, it makes her smile. Yeah. I have programmable lights too. So I actually can like set them. They have settings for Halloween. They have settings for Thanksgiving. They have settings for the 4th of July. So I'll often set it to those as well. And I will say off season, I only have them on about 3 hours after sunset. Okay. Because I just don't want to wear out the lights and I don't want to use a ton of electricity. But but then once Christmas time comes, I have them on from dusk till dawn. Because I love Christmas so much. But yeah, one day somebody was like, because I used to leave my Christmas tree up really late because I'm lazy. And somebody had said like, why do you do that? I was like, well, sometimes I do like to turn it on and enjoy it, at not Christmas time. And they were like, huh. And then I was like, wait a second. So now I just will never take my Christmas tree down either. I love my Christmas tree. I love Christmas. I love celebrating. I love lights. if I'm having a really bad day,
Mhm.
I will literally say, Alexa, turn on Christmas tree. And then I will light up a cigar and I will listen to some music, and I'm proud of my home.
Good.
So
I don't have any issue with that at all. Like, it's whatever you want to do is fine.
Say but.
But no, but the reason that I don't have mine up all year and I don't have my Christmas tree up all year, but it was dying, so it can't be. It was a fire hazard.
Yeah, mine's fake.
Yeah. But the reason is that, like, I really like those things, and I get a lot of joy out of just having them for a certain amount of time and then like getting excited for the next time.
No, and I appreciate that very much.
So
for me, my least favorite part of Christmas is putting up the decorations. My favorite part is appreciating them.
Oh,
and that's a personal preference. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. I don't.
Actually, I don't really like that either, but I'm a delayed gratification type person. So, like, that's fine with me. I just gonna do it, and then you get the good stuff.
I do at Christmas. I put up way more decorations, though. I only really leave up the light and a few other things. Like, I don't leave like the yard displays and stuff up all year. And although it'll be like the size of a Charlie Brown tree this year, I'm putting a pine tree in my front yard.
Yeah.
And when it gets big enough, I'm putting lights in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am a loser. Everyone knew it, though, because they listen to me tell scary stories every week. But I love what I do. And if anybody tries to harsh people's mellow, I cannot stand that crap.
Mm-hmm.
It is their home. Let them enjoy it. We'll talk about this a smidge more and get to more spooky news after this quick break and a word from our sponsors. And we are back. I want to mention, because we were digging into people meddling in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, you have a beautiful home. I mean that because you moved in, and it was not a bad place, but you moved in and really made it yours. You painted it in a very beautiful color scheme. And when I was growing up, there was a house in West Carrollton, still there, that is like a very light shade of purple.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they had to fight tons of battles to keep it purple. And then when they won, they were like, well, it'll never not be purple because F you. Yeah. And I was like, man, I love that though. Like a big old house and it's purple.
Yeah.
You know, I am going to, one of these days, I'm going to either paint my front door red or orange.
Okay.
Because I've always thought orange doors are awesome.
Yeah.
Like they're very eye-catching.
Yeah, they are.
Because they're unusual, I would suppose. But no, have you ever had any incident where you live with decoration? I mean, where you've ever lived, I mean.
No.
Good.
Oh, you mean like from, my house. No. When I lived in Plainsboro growing up, the new neighbors across the street painted part of their house purple.
Oh.
And everybody hated it. But like it's like you're allowed to hate things, but nobody did anything about it. They were just they painted it purple, like 2 shades of purple. So
at least it wasn't 50 shades of purple. I don't know. Leave me alone.
That would be really interesting.
Actually, yeah, it would be. Man, now you're making me really want, now this whole conversation made me really want to take my front door off and sand it up and paint it.
Do it.
Because it's actually, I mean, the door's in good shape, but it's, it needs a repaint someday anyway.
What? If it makes you feel better, you don't probably have to take it off. So
I would prefer to take it off because the door's been like the way it is for like 20 some years. I want to take it off and like really detailed, like clean and sand it.
Okay.
And then paint it really nice and like seal it super well. And by that, I mean, get my buddy Keith to mostly do it while I thank him and buy him General Tso's chicken. The best thing in my life is that the Chinese restaurant by me has really good General Tso's. Keith is like an expert woodworker, and he has done so much work for me in exchange for going to get General Tso's together. So anyway, we have 2 more stories for you this week or this month. This one from NPR again, your favorite.
Yay.
An 11-year-old boy caught a fish with human-like teeth in an Oklahoma pond.
Yay.
And take a look at this.
Oh, he does have human-like teeth.
It's a pacu, apparently, which is a relative of the piranha.
Wow.
But it was caught in a neighborhood pond in Oklahoma. Do you think somebody had it as a pet and dumped it or something?
No, I just think it lives there with its teeth.
I mean, pacu, when I hear the name pacu, I'm like, oh, well, that's Oklahoman. So
yeah,
that's definitely Oklahoman. Jana Clinton was sitting on her back porch watching her son Charlie, 11, fish in a pond behind their house in Oklahoma this past weekend when he suddenly started yelling for her. He was screaming, "Oh my God, Mom! Oh my God!" Clinton told NPR. Quote, "I thought he was just being dramatic, to be honest," she added. Gosh, what is she, my mom? I can't blame my mom for being like, I thought you were being dramatic, because I was such a dramatic child.
Mm-hmm.
Were you dramatic? I feel like you were dramatic, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, we have yours is much more extreme than mine. We have a similar story, because you hurt your shoulder or broke your arm, right?
Yeah.
And they thought you were just like whining because you're a whiner.
No, because I always cry all the time when anything happens.
See, my story, and I'll never let my mother live this one down, is she used to cut my hair because my mother went to beauty school for a year. So when I was really young, she cut my hair. It was like, why would I waste the money on your haircuts? They're not even complex. Mm-hmm. So she would do my hair, buzz it and stuff. And one time when she was doing my hair, I wanted long hair, but my mom wasn't, it's interesting. She wasn't like, you can't have long hair because that's a girl thing. She was like, you don't want long hair at this age because it is a lot of work to keep and maintain. Huh. That's the way she would explain it to me. She'd be like, if your hair is long, you're going to have to spend way more time washing it. You're going to have to use way more shampoo. So she was like, why don't we just go with something else? So of course, me being a reasonable child, I was like, well, if I can't have long hair, I just want to have hair that looks like Mr. Spock from Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Man, my mom, God love her. She's just like, all right, have fun on your school bus with your Spock haircut. Rest in peace. You know, my mom loved me quite a bit, but no, so she was buzzing my hair, and I did used to get annoyed when she wanted to cut my hair. I'd be like, I don't wanna. Well, one time she was buzzing my hair and I was going, ow. And she was like, oh, calm down. It'll be over in a second. And I'm like, ow. And mom's like, it's fine. It's fine. Gosh. And finally I go, ow. And I got out of the chair and like went away.
Wow.
And she was like, what is your problem? And then she looked at the buzzers and realized the blade wasn't moving. It was buzzing.
Oh.
But the blade was. So she was just like ripping little strands of hair right out of my head.
Ow.
But because I was such a dramatic child, she thought. I brought that up when we had lunch a couple weeks ago.
Oh, God.
And she was just like, how many times can I be sorry? And I was like, it's so funny, Mom. Anyway. Okay. Then she got a close look at Charlie's alarmingly weird catch. Quote, obviously being in a neighborhood pond, we're used to just catching a few bass or catfish, she said. I mean, nothing with human-like teeth. That's quite a sentence. I love it. It turned out that Charlie had landed a pacu, a fish that's a cousin of the piranha, or piranha, as I like to say.
Okay.
And whose outsized teeth have long struck fear in swimmers. The pacu is a native of South America, but this one was swimming in a small pond in the Clinton suburb north of Oklahoma City.
Wow.
That does sound strange.
I think it's fine.
Also, like if they're known for like biting people, that's the nervousness that it's like in a little pond in a neighborhood.
Did they say they bite people?
It said, oh wait, maybe I got confused by their wording.
Because they said it's like a cousin of a piranha, and it said,
and whose outsized teeth have struck fear in swimmers. I guess they're referring to piranha and not pacu.
Well, they could be referring to that, but they didn't say that they bite swimmers. They just said they were scared of them.
So pacu can totally bite you. But they're not generally aggressive though.
Okay.
So that, I mean, like, but you should think about not swimming with pacu.
Okay.
Especially if you're not like from South America. That's what I just pulled it up on National Geographic. Also, it's known when it does attack humans, it's known for attacking testicles.
Yay.
In fact, in some areas, they refer to it as the testicle-eating pacu.
Wow.
I love this show because it's educational.
Yeah.
Yet another reason why I don't like water, like being in water. I'll boat all day long. I'll get in a kayak and spend the whole day out there. But it's like between the brain-eating amoeba, which I know you and I are both afraid of the brain-eating amoeba. Thank goodness. Everybody else makes fun of me. I do this thing where if I'm watching a movie with a friend and somebody jumps into like a pond or a lake and their head submerges, I'm just like, ah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people are listening to this, they're going like, what a bunch of crybabies. Pond swimming's fun. Well, tell that to your testicles. Let's see. Quote, he said it put up a heck of a fight, Jana told NPR, saying her son reeled the fish in on his own. Quote, what? He was the only one down there fishing and he did a great job. Aw. Did you ever go fishing as a kid? Not at all?
No.
I shouldn't be surprised because you're a coastal elite, but no, but what were you going to say?
I'm from New York City. Like,
where to fish? I mean, I guess there's no ocean or lakes or rivers or.
My family is inner city people. They don't fish.
The only fishing we do is for compliments. Nice hair, by the way. So growing up, my dad lived in New Hampshire and he's very into like manly things, but he never was a big hunter. He was a big fisher. Okay. He loved to fish. And that was the number one thing we would do when I'd visit him in the summer is we had a little pond that he knew about that was like way out in the middle of nowhere called Horseshoe Pond. And we went there dozens of times and only once was there another person there.
Wow.
But it was full of bass and bluegill, which bluegill, if anybody's ever fished, they know bluegill they breed super fast. They're super easy to catch and they are horrible eating. So,
oh, good.
So they're perfect for little kids to fish though, because they're easy to catch. So you can learn how to fish. It's just, but every time you catch it, you'd be like, and your dad would be like, nah, it's a bluegill though. We got to throw it back. Because if we caught like a really big bass, he'd be like, all right, this is dinner. Like usually we'd throw everything back, but if he caught like a big bass or a big catfish, it was like, all right, this is dinner then. Or one time a very big snapping turtle.
Wow.
Well, the snapping turtle was so big. I remember my dad, I don't have a lot of nice things to say about my father, but he saw how big that snapping turtle was that we caught, that we were starting to reel in. And he was like, yeah, that thing is way too big for this pond. Like that's not good for the environment here. So he pulled it out and knocked it unconscious and put it in the back of his truck. And then we ate it.
Yay.
With our bare hands.
Good.
No, it's actually twisted. Like there's a movie called Cannibal Holocaust and it has a real turtle being killed in it and eaten. And it's disturbing, but like I just kind of shrugged because like I'd seen it in person when I was like 7.
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, it's gross. Don't get me wrong. Like I was like, ugh, but I wasn't surprised because like, no, I know what happens when you pull the shell off a turtle. Like, but snapping turtles are mean.
Well, you'd be mean too if somebody's pulled you out of your home and they were going to kill you.
That's not true. I'm very nice when people do that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You just got a little emotional there for a second.
Yeah.
No, snapping turtles though they're very aggressive.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but I just remember that like we would catch little things like little turtles, little snakes or whatever. My dad would just be like, throw it back. Let's get it back out there. But when we would catch like a really big snapping turtle, he's like, nope, this one's for food. Like it's too big. Can't live here. And also turtle is delicious. It's like chicken and fish had a baby.
Huh.
Very good.
Okay.
Turtle and frog, super good. I'm so hungry. All right. Sorry about that. That was quite a digression. The Clintons posted a photo of the unusual fish to their neighborhood Facebook page and got in touch with a game warden. But before learning of its provenance, they returned the pacu to the water.
Oh.
Quote, it's a catch and release pond, Jana said.
Okay.
So we unfortunately did release it back because we didn't know any better at the time. So they should have kept it. See, I like that though. These sound like good neighbors. I would have been like, I could probably keep this since it's so unusual. That would be my attitude,
No.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying to eat. I mean, like, you could have been like, put out a post on Facebook. Like, anybody have a tank?
Mhm.
Let's put it in a Home Depot bucket for an hour or two while we get a fish tank. Because clearly if it's surviving in a little pond, like that's built for a neighborhood, then that fish must be able to survive in environments.
Mhm.
So, because some fish are just, and sea creatures are incredible at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like lobsters. The reason that lobsters, we buy them often when they're still alive is because they are so tumultuous. They can live through all kinds of things. I watched a YouTube video about Leon the lobster. He's my favorite thing on the internet right now. He was a lobster bought at a fish market, and then instead of eating it, they put it in a tank of salt water.
Mhm.
And it's thriving now. Like he got all of his strength back. Like completely recovered. They're so strong creatures. They're like very able to recover. Anyway.
Good.
I know you're like, great. We're talking about lobsters now. Hey, whatever. It's my show. It's our show, but it's my show. Quiet you. People who later recognized the fish said it was invasive and shouldn't be released, she said, adding, quote, "We made a mistake there."
Oh, well.
Since then, Charlie has been stalking the fish. Quote, "He did stay at the pond pretty late that night trying to catch it again," Jana said, adding that her son has been rising early and staying at the pond late hoping to get another bite from that pacu. Oh, this kid's so cute. I like this kid. I like this story.
Yeah, I mean, he's never going to catch it again because now the fish knows his tricks. So he'll stay away.
The fish knows.
Yeah.
Look at this kid.
Aw.
He looks so happy. The fish is huge.
It's a pretty big fish.
I mean, he's 11, but so he's not a big, creature himself, but geez, creature. If Charlie succeeds, a neighbor has offered to eat the pacu, but Jana has other ideas. Quote, "If he catches it again, we're going to get it mounted for him." Oh, that'd be perfect.
Okay.
Well, hold on. I think that's a heck of a prize and he deserves it. Oh, I love these people.
Yeah.
She said, quote, "I told him we'd make it look like the fish was smiling so you could see its teeth." I love these people. These are the people we need in this world. Wholesome content. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. That's like so sweet. Cause having a fish mounted, that's like this is a thing that like got this kid in like newspapers everywhere. So if he catches it again, like he did a good thing cause it's invasive.
Yeah.
He got a bunch of cool attention for it. I think that would be like the ultimate story piece. Have that mounted on your wall and somebody could be like, "What is that?" I'd be like, "I caught that when I was 11 years old in a pond behind my house." And they'll be like, "Wow." And I'd be like, no. Like I lived in the suburbs. It was like just a pond for like decoration stocked with fish. Around you, do they have a lot of those fish stocked ponds for people?
No.
Out here, there are apartment complexes near me that have ponds that were built and they have a two fish a month policy. You're allowed to keep and eat 2 fish a month.
That's so weird.
It is. Maybe that's because I'm in Ohio. Whatever. Shut up.
Yeah, like we don't put fish in our ponds that you can eat. Sometimes we put fish that you don't eat in the ponds, but that's about it.
I mean, it's an odd thing. It's definitely not something I'm looking for out of a place to live. But
I mean, at least you could have a meal a couple times a month. If you
if you catch a big enough fish, I mean, you can eat for a few meals. I remember one time, man, I'm talking about fishing too much. I remember one time my dad and I went fishing and we went to the river while the salmon were running. And it was insane. We caught like easily 15 fish.
Wow.
Like big salmon.
Wow.
I remember because my dad took it home, he cleaned them and then he cooked them and he had so much fish. He worked at a factory. And he just took literally a garbage bag full of fried fish nuggets to work and like was just giving it out to everybody. Literally a trash bag full because there was so much.
That's amazing.
He could be a cool dude sometimes. That was a pretty nice thing to do. And you gotta remember, this is New Hampshire too. So people are like, "Oh man, fresh salmon bites," cause like people catch salmon there and eat it,
Yeah.
So anyway, the game wardens believe the pacu was a pet that outgrew its tank and was released into the wild.
Oh, you were right.
I just can't imagine that wouldn't be the case. Oh, God. How dare you, the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation said, addressing the fish's previous owner via Twitter and setting off a lively exchange with surprised members of the public. Quote, why does it have human teeth? It was all caps. A dismayed commenter asked. I don't know. We didn't make them, the wildlife agency replied. I love that response. I don't know. We didn't make them. When asked what kind of bait Charlie used to entice the pacu to bite, his mother said, you're going to laugh, but it was just a piece of bread.
Aww.
I love these people. Because, like, that means that, like, he's literally mostly fishing just for kicks, you know? Like, they didn't even go get night crawlers, you know? Like,
yeah,
I bet, well, man, since you've never fished, that means you've never gotten up at 4:30 in the morning to catch worms.
No. But I've done other things. I don't want to hurt
but
the worm.
I've done other things.
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know.
That statement was so broad. That's why I was like, okay, you have done other things. That's fair. Before we wrap up this news story, not only is this the first pacu caught in Oklahoma, or not only is this not the first pacu caught in Oklahoma, it's not the first time it's been hooked by an 11-year-old in the state.
Wow.
Charlie follows in the footsteps of Kennedy Smith of Lindsay, Oklahoma, who caught a pacu 5 years ago. Quote, these fish are generally harmless to humans, but the practice of dumping unwanted pets in waterways could be incredibly harmful to native wildlife, the wildlife agency said via Facebook. It warned that pacu can grow to sizes up to 3.5 feet and 88 pounds.
Wow.
Wow.
They'll be really nice and fun to hang out with when they're that big.
Yeah, especially when you hear this. Along with its creepy appearance, the pacu has a troubling nickname. Quote, the ball cutter. A label that stems from its purported habit of attacking men's testicles. The dubious distinction prompted warnings for skinny dippers in Scandinavia after one of the fish was caught in the wild in 2013.
Wow.
It's not normal to get your testicles bitten off, of course, but it can happen, especially now in Sweden, fish expert Henrik Karl said at the time, although he warned that people were still more likely to die from drowning than a pacu attack.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing to mention is they're supposedly delicious.
Okay.
So anyway, they have a deep body tasting somewhat like carp with strong muscles. I have one quick story left before we get to our topic of the Philadelphia experiment. And this is just some silly fun from Huffington Post, huffpost.com. Photo of freeway exit goes viral for unsavory reason. And I just want to share this real quick because it's very funny. It's just, I'm not even going to read the whole, actually I will read the whole article because it's very short. Chew on this. A photo of a freeway exit is going viral because of its apparent connection to cannibalism.
What?
On Wednesday, the Placerville police of the California Highway Patrol posted a photo on Facebook of Donner Lake exit on Interstate 80. Let me see if I can pull up the picture for you. Since they didn't put the actual, what the heck? You're just not gonna, oh my gosh. Now everything's going horribly awry. The lake just happens to be named after the Donner Party, a group of Midwestern pioneers who were forced to spend the winter of 1846 through 1847 in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Legend has it that some of the members survived by eating others in their party, though a more recent archaeological study turned up no evidence of cannibalism. Caltrans Public Information Officer Steve Nelson told HuffPost that there are 38 restaurants off that exit, so the sign is appropriate to notify motorists, but we also understand the irony and that it may be considered insensitive. Yeah, so it says exit 180, Donner Lake, and it just has a picture, the picture of a fork and a knife.
I love that.
This is why I wanted to bring it up real quick. I figured it would give you a good laugh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Still, for some Facebook commenters, the cannibal connection was enough to provide food for thought. One person commented, I heard there is a party going on up there, to which the Placerville CHP's social media page replied cheekily, slowly dwindling, but yes. Okay, that's dark. Others chimed in with their own tasteless comments. Quote, for a fine dining experience, visit beautiful Donner Lake, to which another person replied, bring the family. See, now they need to find pacu in Donner Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. One person joked that the food around the lake was finger-licking good, while another said that the ribs and shoulder are amazing, but I wasn't a fan of the liver and onions. After one person praised the post, the Placerville CHP account replied, "Just trying to be humorous," and spelled it like the bone. Okay, well, that's all the spooky news we have. So we're going to take a quick break and go to our sponsors, and then we are going to take a little deep dive into the Philadelphia experiment. And I don't mean, just the raisin murders they've had in the last few years. Right after
They're
this.
coming down.
Finally! And we are back, and it's time, Chell, to talk about the Philadelphia experiment. Have you ever heard of it or anything? I know you're not a native Philly person, but you've been living in Philly a long time.
Yeah, or adjacent to it.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah.
I've definitely heard of it, but right now my brain doesn't know if I know anything about it or not.
One of my favorite things about you, Michelle, is that I'll ask you, like, do you know about that? And you'll reply, maybe, but not right now. And that's like the best response, because I totally know what you mean. Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes you're just not in that headspace to pull that information right away.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about the Manhattan Project, and whenever I hear the Manhattan Project, my brain is like, yes, the Manhattan Project and the Philadelphia experiment, even though they have nothing to do with each other. And the Philadelphia experiment probably didn't even happen. But I always wanted to do a deep dive. So we are going to learn about the Philadelphia experiment together using an infallible source of information known as Wikipedia. And, so maybe you'll learn a little bit more about, where you're from, or where you live. I mean, sorry, if there was a Dayton experiment, we'd be talking about it, but there isn't. So the Philadelphia experiment was an alleged event claimed to have been witnessed by an ex-merchant mariner named Carl M. Allen at the United States Navy's Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, sometime around October 28th, 1943.
Okay.
So before both of our parents were even alive.
Yeah.
Allen described an experiment where the U.S. Navy attempted to make a destroyer escort class ship, the USS Eldridge, disappear, and the bizarre results that followed.
I kind of feel like I know about this a little.
And there's a movie called The Philadelphia Experiment about it, which I feel bad because I'm pretty sure I saw it and I just don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
It used to be on cable a lot.
Oh.
The story first surfaced in late 1955 when Allen sent a book full of handwritten annotations referring to the experiment to a U.S. Navy research organization and, a little later, a series of letters making further claims to a UFO book writer. Well, this all sounds legit.
Yeah.
I mean, for the record, when I send a book full of handwritten annotations referring to certain experiments to the U.S. Navy, I get all kinds of crap.
Sorry. It's different because handwriting, it just has a different connotation now since most people type. So it looks a little bit crazier than it used to.
Well, the first time I sent them annotations, my printer was broken. So I cut out letters from magazines. Okay, when you say it out loud, it seems crazy, but it didn't at the time.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot of effort to do that, though, to get all the letters.
I thought they would think I cared.
Yeah, I'm sure they thought you really cared.
Yeah. Because I even put at the end of the whole thing, like by cutting out the words, I put, "This really matters to me." But whatever. And like, clearly it mattered to me because at one point I cut my thumb and I just left the blood on there because like I didn't want to not send it.
Yeah. I mean, if you've done all that work already, it would be a shame not to send it.
Exactly. I'd be a fool not to send it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Allen's account of the event is widely understood to be a hoax. Several different and sometimes contradictory versions of the alleged experiment have circulated over the years in paranormal literature and popular movies. Popular may be a stretch. The U.S. Navy maintains that no such experiment was ever conducted, that the details of the story contradict well-established facts about USS Eldridge, and that the physics the experiment is claimed to be based on are non-existent.
Huh.
So, let's go with the origins of this story. The story of a Philadelphia experiment originated in late 1955 when Carl M. Allen sent an anonymous it was anonymous! Sent an anonymous package marked Happy Easter, containing a copy of Morris K. Jessup's book, The Case for the UFO, Unidentified Flying Objects, to the U.S. Office of Naval Research.
I'm worried about this guy.
I'm sure he's fine. I can only imagine he's dead and no one understands how. Because that's just the bad luck that you have, is that hoaxers die like weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but, yeah. So, did you ever read any books?
Not really.
When you were a kid, were you a big reader, though? Seriously?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I had a lot of trouble reading.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so weird because you're such a good reader.
I'm not. I was in like remedial classes for reading until I was in like 6th grade. Yeah.
How did I not know this?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know.
No, the reason I'm surprised is because I always like to be very upfront about the fact that I'm a weak reader, or a non-disciplined reader, however you want to put it, because I feel like it's like I'm hoping that if somebody else feels embarrassed about the fact that they're not a great reader, like I'm not good at sitting still and reading. That's why Weekly Spooky has been really special to me, because it really encourages me to sit and enjoy reading.
Yeah,
you know, it really does. Because like reading aloud, I can stick to, but reading by myself, sometimes I just can't do it. I hate that. Like that's why I love audiobooks, because sometimes I can't do it. But so I'm surprised, because I've talked about that so often that it hasn't come up that you were in like remedial English or whatever.
I feel like we've talked about it, but maybe it was like a really long time ago or something.
It could have been, yeah.
Because because you know, like the like gifted kid memes and stuff like never strike it with me, because I'm like, I wasn't really a gifted kid, guys. I don't really know what you're talking about.
That makes you were not a gifted child?
No,
I was.
Yeah, I know. Everybody else was. It was just me.
Well, for the record, I was gifted, but I was in Odyssey of the Mind. I wasn't in like the ESL classes is what they called them. And all of my friends were.
Oh.
So it was like a bummer, because when they go do ESL, I couldn't go do ESL with them. But then we were all in Odyssey of the Mind, which was for like kids who were extremely creative.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I got kicked out of Odyssey of the Mind. So there you have it.
Sorry.
They can suck a dick up till they hiccup. So I turned out fine. I talk on the internet. The book was filled with handwritten notes in its margins. Oh, that doesn't seem crazy at all.
Well, you got to put them somewhere. Come on. You can put them, look at cross things out. Right over
written with 3 different shades of blue ink.
Well, he ran out of the like.
Appearing to detail a debate among 3 individuals, only one of whom is given a name, Jemmy.
Oh, okay.
They commented on Jessup's ideas that the propulsion about the propulsion for flying saucers, discussed alien races, and expressed concern that Jessup was too close to discovering their technology.
Oh.
So the reason I asked you about reading was when I was a kid, I would read the UFO books. I think I've told you that. At my elementary school library, they had a couple books on UFOs and a couple books on ghosts, and I read them all, and I was the only name in the checkout card. And I remember learning about like Project Blue Book, and learning about, which was the official investigation of UFOs that the government did, was called Project Blue Book. And I remember just learning about all that stuff and being like so enamored. It's so funny because I'm a skeptic as an adult. And I really think that exposure doesn't make you believe. I think that, it really comes down to other factors, because if exposure made you believe, I would believe in ghosts and aliens, because I would read all the books that said they were probably real. And then even so, I was like, it's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
So the commenters referred to each other as gypsies and discussed two different
Oh.
types of people living in outer space. Their text contained non-standard use of capitalization and punctuation and detailed a lengthy discussion of the merits of various elements of Jessup's assumptions in the book. There were oblique references to the Philadelphia experiment. One commenter reassures his fellow annotators who have highlighted a certain theory which Jessup advanced. This is getting really weird.
Yeah. Like
Shortly. Oh, please.
Sorry.
No,
They
please.
they're communicating through the margins. Like, that's weird.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, it's like before message boards and stuff. So maybe this was a way of like sharing ideas together.
I understand. It just sounds like some crazy person did the whole thing.
Oh, no, it's absolutely some crazy person did it. But also, have you ever read a web forum?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. But not everyone is crazy in the web forum, just most of them.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would agree. The only ones that are sane, those are the ones that are inhaling constant carbon monoxide. Those are the sane ones. Shortly thereafter, in January of 1956, Allen began sending a series of letters to Jessup using his given name as well as Carlos Miguel Allende.
Okay.
Well, his name's Carl M. Allen.
Okay.
So that is like maybe he was anglicizing his name.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a really funny conversation with a friend. Nope, his name was Carl Meredith Allen. So he was just being weird.
Yeah.
I had a friend who one time we were talking about like name stuff, and he was like, you know who really pisses me off? Geraldo Rivera. And I was like, why? And he was like, because he's pretending to be something he's not. And I was like, what is he pretending to be? And they were like, and my friend was like, when I knew him, he was Jerry Rivers until he wanted to separate himself. And I was like, no, he claimed his real name.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Geraldo Rivera isn't his real name. His name's Geraldo Riviera, but
okay.
Rivera was easier to pronounce.
Yeah.
So he just leaned into that.
Well, Riviera makes more sense because that's literally river. Right? No, it's not. Yeah. Okay.
Roughly. Give or take. Anyway, but I just thought it was funny. He was like, oh. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, he didn't claim a foreign sounding name.
Yeah, yeah.
As from one person with a foreign sounding name to another. Where's my social security card? Anyway, no, I'm asking. God, I'm so goofy today. Allen put forward a story of dangerous science based on unpublished theories by Albert Einstein.
Oh.
He further claimed a scientist named Franklin Reno. Franklin Reno put these theories into practice at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in October of 1943. Allen claimed to have witnessed this experiment while serving aboard the SS Andrew Forsyth. Mm-hmm. In Allen's account, a destroyer escort was successfully made invisible. But the ship then inexplicably teleported to Norfolk, Virginia for several minutes, but then reappeared in the Philadelphia yard.
How? Okay.
No, what?
How would we know that it was in Norfolk for a few minutes?
I'm guessing because they got a call and I was like, hey, this is Tom in Norfolk. What? There's a ship here? We don't understand. And they're all asking us for cheesesteaks and we don't know what that means.
Yeah.
There you go. So I get why something like this could have come up, though. Think about 1943. You're in the birth of the atomic age.
Yeah.
The atomic bomb literally unleashed a power unknown to humankind beyond like a hurricane. And so I could see it definitely drove imaginations wild in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, there's even there's an entire era of films that are called the atomic age movies because they're all about the fact that everybody was wondering about atomic power, atomic weapons, everything atomic. The atom, the power of the atom, that kind of thing. So I see I could see a theory like this gaining some traction because it's well, what else are they doing? If they're gathering hundreds of scientists into the middle of the desert in Los Alamos in order to make the biggest bomb ever known to humankind, what else are they doing?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when the Cold War picked up and all of a sudden it was the Russians were studying mind control, but it was the idea that they were studying mind control and extrasensory perception. They were just They were just a big, massive power with tons of money, and they could make their scientists do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
So they tried everything, and they were weird because they're Russian. Russians are weird. Sorry. I don't know how much you use Russian, but that part's that's the last weird part of you, honestly.
Yeah, come on.
But no, so I get it though. Like when the government says like, surprise, it took 3 years, but now we have an atom bomb. You have to wonder like, whoa.
Yeah. Did they also make things invisible and teleport them? Yeah.
Or just like maybe we don't have any clue what's next. Therefore this is reasonable. Similar to like then when we went to the moon. It was like people were like, whoa, we could go to the moon? And then it became, of course, then there were people like, no, we can't. But,
Yeah, we didn't go to the moon. Yeah.
Nah. You heard it from Michelle. She does not believe we went to the moon. I mean, her and I personally.
Okay.
Even though I told you we did, you just slept the whole time.
I don't know why you wouldn't wake me up so I could see the moon, though.
You looked so peaceful.
Oh, I mean, that's nice of you, but you ruined my life not letting me see the moon. So.
Wow. And there it comes out right on the show.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, that hurt. Thanks. The ship's crew was supposed to have suffered various side effects, including insanity, intangibility, and being frozen in place.
Oh, no.
When Jessup wrote back requesting more information to corroborate his story, Allen said his memory would have to be recovered.
Oh,
so now we need some like quack psychiatrists and some hypnotists, and referred Jessup to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, or recovered with money.
Oh, that's even better. And referred Jessup to what seems to be a non-existent Philadelphia newspaper article that Allen claimed covered the incident.
Oh,
you know what would suck if Carlos Miguel Allende, if Carl Allen like was in the Berenstein Bears universe where the Philadelphia experiment totally happened.
Yeah.
And then he switched over. So he's just wrong about what crazy paranormal thing happened to him.
Yeah.
That theory is now mine. And now I'm going to claim it's real. And it's going to be on the Wikipedia page in a matter of hours.
Yeah. Some people believe that.
I love the term some people believe, or some people have said. It's like, who are these people? Shrugging emoji. In 1957, Jessup was invited to the Office of Naval Research, where he was shown the annotated copy of his book. Jessup noticed the handwriting of the annotations resembled the letters he received from Allen. 12 years later, Allen would say that he authored all of the annotations in order to scare the hell out of Jessup. That's in quotes.
Well, that would do it.
Yeah. I mean, what would have scared him more would just be like, I'm going to kill you or something. Two officers at ONR, Captain Sidney Sherby and Captain George W. Hoover, took a personal interest in the matter. Hoover later explained that his duties as Special Projects Officer required him to investigate many publications and that he ultimately found nothing of substance to the alleged invisibility experiment.
Okay.
Hoover discussed the annotations with Austin N. Stanton, president of Vero Manufacturing Corporation of Garland, Texas, during meetings about Vero's contract work for ONR. Stanton became so interested in Vero's office that Vero's office began producing mimeographed copies of Jessup's book with the annotations and Allen's letters. First a dozen and eventually 127 copies. These copies came to be known as the Vero edition. Besides noting handwriting of the individual named Jemmy, addressed as such by others and using blue-violet ink, the anonymous introduction to the Vero edition concludes that there were two other individuals making annotations, Mr. A, identified as Allen by Jessup in blue ink, and Mr. B in blue-green ink.
Wow. I like how it's just like they just picked slightly different blues instead of just like different colors.
Or the same color of blue.
Yeah.
Jessup tried to publish more books on the subject of UFOs, but was unsuccessful. He lost his publisher and experienced a succession of downturns in his personal life and died by suicide in Florida on April 30th, 1959. Or that's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even have conspiracy theories I'm into, but like, that doesn't help. It doesn't help that Jessup killed himself. And in Florida, I think it was a giant snake.
Probably. That's kind of hard to mistake as a suicide, but who knows?
Yeah, no, that's friggin' weird and creepy. The various book writers who tried to get more information from Carl Allen found his responses elusive or couldn't find him at all. One reporter from Allen's hometown of New Kensington, Pennsylvania, interviewed his family and was handed a pile of documents and books, all scribbled with Allen's annotations.
Okay.
They described Allen as a fantastic mind, but also a drifter and a master leg puller.
Yeah.
So crazy person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like when you say like, man, he had a fantastic mind, but he liked to like pull tricks. It's like, oh, insane. Like almost criminally insane then. Sounds good. So let's see. We got a few more things to pump into here. In 1965, Vincent Gaddis published a book of Forteana, which Forteana is Fortean investigations. Fortean refers to paranormal ghosts and urban legend folklore. I have a friend who's a Fortean investigator.
Okay.
So, but it was called Invisible Horizons, True Mysteries of the Sea. In it, he recounted the story of the experiment from the Varro annotations. So then it was covered in, I'm going to skip over these a little bit, but it was referenced in a novel titled Thin Air. It was referenced in a book by author Charles Bertlitz, selling a book about the Bermuda Triangle, that then did a book called The Philadelphia Experiment, Project Invisibility. Yeah, so it was covered in several books and became a favorite of UFO believers.
Okay.
So, and the experiment was allegedly based on an aspect of some unified theory, a term coined by Albert Einstein to describe a class of potential theories. Such theories would aim to describe mathematically and physically the interrelated nature of the forces of electromagnetism and gravity. In other words, uniting their respective fields into a single field.
Okay.
According to some accounts, unspecified researchers thought that some version of this field would enable using large electrogenerators to bend light around an object via refraction, so that the object became completely invisible. The Navy regarded this as of military value and sponsored the experiment. That's what people believe. Another unattributed version of the story proposes that researchers were preparing magnetic and gravitational measurements of the sea floor to detect anomalies, supposedly based on Einstein's attempts to understand gravity. In this version, there were also related secret experiments in Nazi Germany to find anti-gravity, allegedly led by SS Obergruppenführer Hans Kammler. I said Obergruppenführer pretty well.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. There are no reliable attributable accounts, but in most accounts of the supposed experiment, USS Eldridge was fitted with the required equipment at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, and then testing began in the summer of 1943, and it was supposedly successful to a limited extent. One test resulted in Eldridge being rendered nearly invisible, with some witnesses reporting a greenish fog appearing in its place. Crew members complained of severe nausea afterward. Also, reportedly, when the ship reappeared, some sailors were embedded in the metal structures of the ship.
Oh, God.
Including one sailor who ended up on a deck level below where he began and had his hand embedded in the steel hull of the ship, as well as some sailors who went completely bananas, in quotes.
Do you think it would hurt?
It would. I would imagine it would hurt once you. I would think that it would hurt after it happened, like once your hand existed in the replaced by the ship or whatever. I think that then you would feel pain, but you wouldn't feel pain as it happened.
I don't think it would hurt at all. I think it's just there now, embedded in the ship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I love Wikipedia because the quote is completely bananas, and then there's a link to what bananas are. There was also a claim that the experiment was altered after that point at the request of the Navy, limiting it to creating a stealth technology that would render USS Eldridge invisible to radar. None of these allegations have been independently substantiated. Other versions of the story give the date of the experiment as October 28th, 1943. In this version, Eldridge not only became invisible, but disappeared from the area and teleported to Norfolk, Virginia, over 200 miles away. It is claimed that Eldridge sat for some time in view of men aboard the ship SS Andrew Forsyth, whereupon Eldridge vanished and then reappeared in Philadelphia at the site it had originally occupied.
Okay.
Many versions of the tale include descriptions of serious side effects for the crew. Some crew members were said to have been physically fused to bulkheads, while others suffered mental disorders, and some rematerialized inside out.
That would be really bad.
Do you think that would hurt?
I actually have no idea.
Fair.
Probably.
Oh, and others simply vanished, never to reappear.
They're probably somewhere.
Like in the hull entirely.
Yeah.
It also claimed that the ship's crew may have been subjected to brainwashing to maintain the secrecy of the experiment.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise, how do you make sure people don't tell their loved ones that they're inside out now?
Yeah. Honey, I need you to not ask any questions about you being inside out, about me being inside out. We're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to dive into what evidence, research, and explanations people have come up with about the Philadelphia experiment after these quick words from our sponsors. Say something funny.
What?
And believe it or not, we're back. We were in Norfolk for just a little while, and now Michelle's hand is partially in her microphone, but we are back.
It doesn't hurt.
And we're talking about the Philadelphia experiment, which does not involve cream cheese, which I'm very surprised by.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be what a Philadelphia experiment would be.
I mean, we can make one.
Ooh, man, I really want bagels.
Yeah, me too.
Do you ever not want bagels?
No.
Okay. No, that's okay. Dude, if bagels were as good where I live as they were where you grew up, I would always be thinking about bagels. So, but I'm going to get a bagel this weekend. I earned it.
Yeah.
So we have berry bagels. It's a place where you can get normal bagels and also sandwiches and stuff, deli stuff. It's the place where sometimes I'll send you a picture because they always have copies of the Jewish Observer.
Right. Yeah.
Apparently Barry Bagels was founded in Columbus by a Jewish gentleman named that people call Barry.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the food's great, and they always have matzo ball soup every day.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's pricey, but I get it. Like, I can't imagine they sell a ton of it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I get it because like the chicken noodle soup's cheaper because that's got a wider appeal. So the fact that I go, oh, they have chicken noodles or they have matzo ball soup, that alone explains why I'll pay $2 more, and why anybody would.
Okay.
Because it's like, it's niche. We want it because we can't have it and we love it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and theirs is not as good as mine or your mom's.
Yeah.
The historian, so this is about evidence and research and explanations and alternate theories and stuff about this. The historian Mike Dash notes that many authors who publicized the Philadelphia experiment story after that of Jessup appeared to have conducted little or no research of their own, which I am very surprised to hear, and I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm not really that shocked.
Through the late 1970s, for example, Allende/Allen was often described as mysterious and difficult to locate, but Gorman determined Allende-Allen's identity after only a few telephone calls.
He just kept asking him, and he's like, okay.
Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Okay. I like that. I can't seem to find, like, what his name actually was.
What, didn't we?
I mean, Wikipedia says he was born Carl Meredith Allen.
Mm-hmm.
But why did he have the Spanish name?
Because he wanted it?
I mean, that could be it.
I mean, he sounds like he's a little bit strange, so.
Oh God, no, he is. Okay. You're going to love this.
Names?
You're going to love this. You're going to love this. Okay. So he was born in Springdale, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And other names he went by other than Carl Meredith Allen were Carl Miguel Allende,
mm-hmm.
Carlos Miguel Cristofero Allende,
mm-hmm.
and Carl Meredith Allenstein.
Yeah, he's just making stuff up.
Yeah, he's just making stuff up. I like how he had like a Spanish name and like maybe a kind of like European Jewish name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why I started laughing because I'm like, oh, are you serious? Allenstein?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. Gosh. But if he was like I want a Jewish name and I want a Hispanic name, he would have liked this show,
Yeah. We should find him. I don't think
he's dead
anymore.
He died in 1994.
Oh.
Spoilers. I don't know if they're going to mention that in this piece, but he died in 1994, and I'm sure it was mysterious. Actually, it probably wasn't. We'll find out. We'll look into that before we wrap this up.
Okay.
Others speculate that much of the key literature emphasizes dramatic embellishment rather than pertinent research. Again, shocking.
Yeah.
Berlitz and Moore's account of the story, The Philadelphia Experiment Project Invisibility, the book, claim to include factual information such as transcripts of an interview with a scientist involved in the experiment, but their work has also been criticized for plagiarizing key story elements from the novel Thin Air, which was published a year earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, so there was a novel inspired by it, and they seem to lift stuff from it. I just want to point out, one of the reasons I don't believe in a lot of conspiracy theories is because no one is good at keeping a secret.
Yeah.
They couldn't even keep the nuclear secrets away from Russia.
Yeah.
During World War II. Like, they couldn't. One of the reasons I recommend, if you are curious about seeing Oppenheimer, anybody out there, go see it, is they talk a lot about how they decided Oppenheimer was a spy after he did all that stuff for them. And it's really fascinating that they were coming up with the most secret things in the world and isolating everybody away to their own, isolated town and community with their families to live there for years. And it still got all the way to Russia.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, although it is actually kind of funny, no spoilers, but they're like, who leaked it to Russia? Who did it? And it's literally one of the people that the government made them let visit.
Of course. Yeah.
There was a part I wanted to tell you about, by the way, in Oppenheimer that I really liked. There was a scene where they meet this guy who has a Jewish name. I can't remember it right now, but he had a very Jewish name and he had a German accent. And they said oh, this is so-and-so from the British Research Institute of whatever. And he shakes his hand, Oppenheimer shakes his hand and goes, "How long have you been British?" And he goes, "About as long as Hitler has told me I was not German." And I just love that line. I was like, that was such a great way to help make sure you understand hey, this is World War II.
Yeah.
Because we're in America. So, it's not as obvious until you talk to some a Jewish person from Europe and you're like, oh,
yeah.
Dear. Oh dear. And there's one part where Einstein's hanging out with a friend of his and he talks about how his friend refuses to eat some days because he's so convinced the Nazis will poison him here.
Wow.
Terrifying stuff.
Wow.
I mean, just terrifying. All right. Anyway, gosh, I don't feel bad bringing up Oppenheimer because that is what inspired me to want to cover this story. So.
Okay.
Because I love the idea of science before mainstream computers. I just love the idea of we have chalkboards and each other's brains and lots of cigarettes, healthy cigarettes, So it just fascinates me, So, personnel at the 4th Naval District have suggested that the alleged event was a misunderstanding of routine research during World War II at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard.
Yeah.
One theory is that, quote, the foundation for the apocryphal stories arose from degaussing experiments, which have the effect of making a ship undetectable or invisible to magnetic mines.
Okay.
That is interesting because if you think about it, that's the way they'd be describing it. They'd be like, okay, and that, whatever hours we'll test to see if it's invisible.
Yeah.
But what they mean is invisible in the context of what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Another possible origin of the stories about levitation, teleportation, and the effects on human crew might be attributed to experiments with generating the generating plant of the destroyer USS Timmerman, wherein a high-frequency generator produced corona discharges, although none of the crew reported suffering effects from the experiment.
Okay.
A corona discharge, I'm guessing you don't know because I don't either.
No.
A corona discharge, see, I'm a good guy. Instead of pulling it up right away and then just saying, well, a corona discharge is this, I'm going to admit I didn't know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. A corona discharge is an electrical discharge caused by the ionization of fluids such as air surrounding a conductor carrying a high voltage. It represents a local region where the air has undergone electrical breakdown and becomes conductive, allowing charge to continuously leak off the conductor.
Okay.
So kind of like Tesla stuff. You know,
Yeah.
like kind of like Tesla stuff. Electricity through the air. Observers have argued that it is inappropriate to grant credence to an unusual story promoted by one individual in the absence of corroborating evidence. Well, it's not one individual. It's, first of all, one guy who has 3 names.
Yeah. I think he has 4 names, actually.
Depends on how you define names.
Yeah.
And also 3 people, one of which was him and the other 2 which were supposed to be gypsy aliens of some sort or something.
Yeah.
And that's by their own description.
Yeah, so we know it's real.
Yeah, goddamn right. Robert Goerman wrote in Fate magazine in 1980 that Carlos Allende / Carl Allen, who is said to have corresponded with Jessup, was Carl Meredith Allen of New Kensington, Pennsylvania, who had an established history of psychiatric illness, and who may have fabricated the primary history of the experiment as a result of his mental illness.
Yeah.
I called it, man. I called it. Goerman later realized that Allen was a family friend and a, quote, creative and imaginative loner sending bizarre writings and claims. That's really fascinating. Imagine that, though. Like, you're writing, you write for a news publication or whatever, and then you're like, what is this all about? And then you're like, wait, that's a guy from the Allens down the road?
Yeah.
That's him? That's wild. So here are some timeline inconsistencies.
Okay.
The USS Eldridge was not commissioned until August 27th, 1943, and it remained in port at New York City until September of 1943. The October experiment allegedly took place while the ship was on its first shakedown cruise in the Bahamas, which, by the way, that sounds like something I want to be doing. What do you say? You and me, shakedown cruise in the Bahamas.
Okay.
I'm dancing. They can't see, but
yeah,
I'm grooving, actually, really. Although proponents of the story claim that the ship's logs might have been falsified or still classified. Well, I don't know if they'd be hiding it. Shakedown cruise, by the way, I looked it up real quick, is a nautical term in which the performance of a ship is tested.
Okay. So, I figured it was something like that, or that they were having a party. I don't know, one of those. Or robbing people. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, shakedown. Yeah. Apparently, it's a common thing where they cruise for a long distance with another ship, and that's where they kind of overhaul if there are any issues.
That's a good idea.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Especially if you're with the U.S. having so much coastal, so much coastal space. It makes sense that it'd be like, let's take the boat out for 1,000 miles and see how it goes. You know. The Office of Naval Research, or ONR, stated in September of 1996, ONR has never conducted investigations on radar invisibility, either in 1943 or at any other time. Yeah. Well, I'm going to say right now that if that were true, I would also completely believe that they would lie about that.
Sure. Because
they're always lying about what they're doing to get an upper hand on potential enemies, especially if they're potential. Like when we were not officially at war with the Soviets, but it made us develop the most technology to destroy the Soviets that we've ever developed of anything ever.
Yeah.
And them knowing it caused the arm race. In fact, some people believe that detonating the atomic bombs in Japan was a misstep because it made the Soviets fully aware of our capability and encouraged them to keep developing bombs as well.
Okay, I could see that.
Maybe, but then there's also the argument that it's a deterrent, though, that they have bombs and we have bombs and other people have bombs, that everybody having bombs is what keeps us from launching them. And I do overall agree.
Yeah, I do too.
So another really good point they reference in Oppenheimer, by the way, they talk a lot about that. About that he hoped that's what the atomic bomb would cause, is it would cause people to be like, okay, we'll all bomb each other, mutually assured destruction. Anyway.
Right.
Pointing out that the ONR was not established until 1946. So barely existed during the Philadelphia experiment claim time. It denounces the accounts of the Philadelphia experiment as complete science fiction. A reunion of Navy veterans who had served aboard USS Eldridge told a Philadelphia newspaper in April of 1999 that their ship had never made port in Philadelphia at all.
Okay.
Further evidence discounting the Philadelphia experiment timeline comes from the USS Eldridge's complete World War II action report, including the remarks section of the 1943 deck log available on microfiche.
Oh.
Microfiche.
They're little fishes.
I feel like there'd be evidence if they had port in Philadelphia, like someone would have been murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Philly. That's Philly for you, right? I love Philadelphia, but man, you guys are having a time. But here are some alternative explanations.
Okay.
Researcher Jacques Vallée describes a procedure on board USS Engstrom, which was docked alongside the Eldridge in 1943. The operation involved the generation of a powerful electromagnetic field on board the ship in order to deperm or degauss it, which we were reading about earlier, with the goal of rendering the ship invisible magnetically to fused undersea mines and torpedoes. This system was invented by a Canadian, Charles F. Goodeve, when he held the rank of commander in the Royal Canadian Naval Volunteer Reserve, and the Royal Navy and other navies used it widely during World War II.
Okay.
British ships of the era often included such degaussing systems built into the upper decks. The conduits are still visible on decks of the HMS Belfast in London, for example. Degaussing is still used today, however, it has no effect on visible light or radar. Vallée speculates that accounts of USS Engstrom's degaussing might have been garbled and confabulated. Apparently, that's a real word.
Yeah.
Confabulated. It's a psychological term. It means memory error defined as production of fabricated, distorted, or misinterpreted memories about oneself or the world.
Okay.
It just sounded like something my Aunt Betty would have said. Hey, that's been confabulated. I'd be like, that's awesome, my little Kentucky aunt. In subsequent retellings, and that these accounts may have influenced the story of the Philadelphia experiment.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. Vallée cites a veteran who served on board USS Engstrom and who suggests it might have traveled from Philadelphia to Norfolk and back again in a single day at a time when merchant ships could not by use of the Chesapeake-Delaware Canal and Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
That's an interesting point, that it would have been able to travel really fast if it had used the canal. Which at the time was open only to naval vessels and not merchant naval ships. Use of that channel was kept quiet. German submarines had ravaged shipping along the East Coast during Operation Drumbeat, and thus military ships unable to protect themselves were secretly moved via canals to avoid threat.
Okay.
Well, and that's the other thing, is during times of war especially, secrecy is super high, and that just makes you assume, when you learn about a secret, you assume there are even more secrets. And I'm kind of the opposite to some extent. Like, if I learn about a really big secret, then I start to think, wow, they're really bad at keeping secrets, so we probably know anything worth knowing.
Yeah.
But I could see the other argument too. Like, well, if they're keeping that from everybody, what else are they keeping from everybody? And I'm like, well, only aliens. God.
Yeah.
The same veteran claims to be the man that Allende witnessed, quote, disappearing at a bar. Oh, yeah, at a bar. I guess, some people disappear at a bar. I'm making a drinking motion. He claims that when a fight broke out, friendly barmaids whisked him out of the bar before the police arrived because he was underage for drinking. They then covered for him by claiming that he had disappeared. Wow. Okay. So that is a pretty good little dive into the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah.
So, Chell, what do you take from this experiment, from the claims?
I'm really surprised that this is even something that people talk about, because it sounds like it's really just some guy who's just has some issues and that's it.
You could say that about almost anything a bunch of people believe or talk about all the time.
I don't know about that.
Have you read the Bible?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like some parts of it sound like rantings of a crazy person. Not all of it. I'll be honest. I but yeah, a lot of it. Boy, howdy. Just saying.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you think the USS Eldridge didn't do anything special?
Yeah. I think that it was pretty boring, honestly. But it did go to the Bahamas, so that's cool.
Well, that does sound cool.
Yeah.
Well, since we have a moment, a quick deep dive into Carl Meredith Allen. He was an American merchant marine who claimed that during World War II he witnessed the Philadelphia experiment. But the story is widely understood to be a hoax because he confessed several times over the years, then recanted, then confessed again. That's a very common thing with hoaxers, too. Like the hoaxers behind like the most famous Bigfoot footage or the most famous photo of the Loch Ness Monster, they all later said like, we faked it. And then some of them went, actually, no, we didn't fake it.
Changed my mind.
Well, I get how they could claim that because they could be like, no, I was being coerced to say that I faked it.
I was just going to say, maybe they were being coerced.
Yeah. So interesting. I'm wondering if there's a cause of death listed here. He was born on May 31st, 1925 in Springdale, Pennsylvania, the eldest of 5 children. His family described him as brilliant in school with a fantastic mind, but also as a person who never held any particular job for long and was a drifter. Mm-hmm. He was also known as a master leg puller, pulling pranks on people or to get out of work in general.
Wow.
So that sounds more like he was a master liar. Mm-hmm. He was so good at pulling your leg. Like he would be like, hey, I'm in the hospital. I need $500. And then you'd give it to him. And then he'd be like, And then you'd be like, oh, he's so good at pulling your leg.
Yeah.
Lying. Fraud is what that's called. In 1942, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps, but was discharged less than a year later. Right after that, he enlisted in the United States as a United States Merchant Marine. At first serving on the SS Andrew Furseth, and then many other ships until 1952 when he left service. Okay. Allen would later claim the Philadelphia experiment. We talked about that a bunch. And he also claimed he met Albert Einstein while there and for several weeks was schooled in physics directly by Einstein.
Wow.
That sounds like the kind of thing someone lies about.
Yeah.
It's like, not only you don't know anything about physics. Oh, not only do I know stuff about physics, but Einstein taught me physics.
Yeah. I'm
a master leg puller. Give me money. During his lifetime, he would use many aliases, including Carlos Miguel Allende, Senor Professor. That's what it says, Senor Professor.
Okay.
And Colonel Carlos Miguel Cristofero Allende. And one time, when he wrote to the rocket engineer Werner von Braun, Dr. Carl Meredith Allenstein.
Yeah.
He turned up in various places, including Colorado, Mexico, eventually ending up in Greeley, Colorado, where he died on March 5th, 1994. And they do not list how he died, of course. I kind of like, okay, so apparently, like, depending on what he was writing, he would just like choose a ethnicity or something. That's interesting. How did this guy die? I need to know.
Yeah.
I am finding nothing.
Maybe he just died.
I mean, he died at 68. He could have died of natural causes.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's what they want us to think.
Yeah.
Is this? No. Wow. Somebody named Carl M. Allen died in 2022. So I found their obituary.
Aw. Sorry.
I can't find any cause of death. So I'm guessing that he was killed by the government or by the president personally.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that sounds about right.
Yeah. That checks out. So, all right. Well, we just finished our deep dive on the Philadelphia experiment. I'm glad that you went down this rabbit hole with me, Chell.
Yeah.
Whatever keeps you off Reddit, right? I mean, for breaks.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to a quick message from our wonderful sponsors, and then we'll be back to wrap things up and talk a little bit about some horror media I'm checking out or looking forward to, and whatever you've got going on, Chell.
Yeah.
It better be good. Right after this. We are back wrapping up this month of Monthly Spooky. And I wanted to mention, I saw a horror movie in the theater. I saw Insidious, The Red Door.
Oh.
And I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It was really fun. Have you seen any of the Insidious movies?
No.
They're pretty good. But the tricky thing with Insidious is Insidious 1 and 2 are like direct sequels to each other. And then Insidious 3 and 4, which are my favorites, they're prequels. And they're about a character that, I mean, spoiler, but if you're watching 3 and 4, you have to know a character in part 2 that died, but that was like really popular and people really liked her.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, it's kind of her backstory and stuff.
Okay.
But this one, Insidious 5, goes back to the original storyline. and kind of wraps it up in a really cool way that I enjoyed quite a bit.
Oh, good.
Insidious movies are simply fun, scary movies. They're not meant to be brilliant, and I think that's respectable.
Mm-hmm.
And they have such, especially Insidious 3 and 4, they have such gaudy, ostentatious jump scares that they're almost a character that you're waiting for. Like, I remember when I saw Insidious 3 and the title came up and they just played like the loudest jump scare ever with the title popping up. That was when I was like, I get what you guys are doing and I like it. No, I appreciate that, you know? Like, that's fun.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So, Insidious.
Yeah.
That's me cracking my knuckles. I don't know why I did that to the mic. That was stupid. But no, so I really enjoyed it. So if you like seeing horror movies in theater, go see Insidious: The Red Door. I think you'll like it. Also, I'm hoping to catch Cobweb, which is a indie-ish horror movie that's in theaters, but it hasn't hit my area yet.
Oh.
I'm really hoping to go catch it. I think it's just not here yet because they're using so many theaters for Barbie and Oppenheimer right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm hoping to get to catch it in the theater because it looks super good. Also, I saw the trailer for The Exorcist, the new Exorcist movie.
Oh.
Which now, of course, I can't remember. I think it was like Exorcist Believer?
I don't know.
Exorcist. Yep, Believer. The Exorcist Believer. And it's written and directed by the same team who did the Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends.
Oh, okay.
And I know some people have their opinions on that, which they're wrong. I love those. I love that series. And if they're going to do something kind of like that, but obviously very different,
mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. And in the trailer, it revealed that the mom in The Exorcist is back.
Oh.
And she's, I mean, that in the 70s, she was a mom-aged person.
Mm-hmm.
So she's pretty up there. And I loved her character. I always have. And she's a really good actress. So I can't wait to see what they do. That's coming out in like October 13th or something.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also looking forward to a film that I believe is coming out very soon. It's coming out on August 11th. It's called The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh.
Do you know what the Demeter is?
No, but I saw one thing.
Like an ad trailer kind of thing for it?
Yeah.
Do you know what it's about?
No, I think I saw the end of it and I was like, okay, that's a thing.
It looks like a monster movie. It is a monster movie.
I do. Yeah. Never mind, but continue.
Oh, well, the Demeter was the ship in Dracula,
mm-hmm.
the book and the movie. The boat that shows up and everybody's dead on the boat or they're gone.
Okay.
And Dracula's coffin's on that boat. So it's basically like a prequel to Dracula,
mm-hmm.
but like a very tight prequel because it's literally like the thing before he arrives and then, starts, causing him mayhem. So I am pretty excited. I feel like it's going to bomb horribly.
Yeah.
Which is, it's funny. Sometimes I tell people that I'm like, I'm worried this is going to bomb. And they're like, well, it looks good. And I'm like, yeah, it looks great. That's why I'm bummed. It looks like it's going to bomb.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go see it opening night.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope it does really well. I would love it to do well. But Dracula movies seem to be cursed right now.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed Renfield and it bombed horribly. So, but I hope The Last Voyage of the Demeter does well. I'm sure there are other horror things I'm really excited about, but they're not on my mind as much as The Last Voyage of the Demeter and the new Exorcist. Those are very high on my list.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did enjoy the new Insidious movie. So yeah, that's the horror media that's coming up. I don't know of any big horror like series or anything that's going to be coming soon. Because last year we had like the Munsters movie and then we had the Wednesday Addams show. We had all that stuff going on. And right now I don't really know of that much. And of course we have a writer's strike and a Screen Actors Guild strike right this moment. So there's only going to be so much stuff coming. So, but that's what I've got going on in my life because my life is just watching things and talking into things. But what about you, Chel? So what's going on Reddit?
So, besides just the amazingness that was Place, the subreddit our place for a week, that was great. And thanks everybody. I just made some pixels. That's all I did. So there's I was on the glitch subreddit, the glitch in the Matrix subreddit, and so there was this dude who owns a restaurant, right?
Right.
And when he was like, I guess opening it, there's like an there's an area of the restaurant where there's like kind of like an alcove, and he was putting, sounds like fake, like that peel and stick wallpaper type thing, tiles up. It sounds like he was doing on the walls. And he had 2 outlets in the alcove, one on the left and one on the right. So he was doing the left side first, and he's just kind of winging it, and he totally messes up around the outlet, doesn't cut it straight at all, and he has to like redo the whole thing. And then so on the other side, when he gets to the right outlet, he's like, okay, I'll actually do a good job so I don't have to do that twice. And while he's like doing it, like his friend who does like some construction things or whatever, it was there and like laughing at him for messing up the outlet because he noticed immediately that there was a patch and that kind of stuff. So fast forward to the pandemic, they are no longer a sit-down restaurant. They're only doing takeout. So the dining room just has like storage in it and stuff like that. And he needed an outlet for something, and I don't remember what it was, but like the left outlet was already occupied with stuff in it. So he was like, okay, I'll use the right outlet. And they had laughed about it for a while because he made that outlet perfect. Like he cut the tiles really perfect, and then they just shoved a couch up against it, so he never saw it.
Yeah.
So and his friend was there when like whatever they were doing, his friend was there too. They pull the couch away. There's no outlet. And they're like looking all over it, and they don't know. And like his friend remembers, he talks to his dad because he was telling his dad about how like dumb he was about doing the outlet thing. So everybody remembers that there's an outlet there, but there's no outlet. And they have no idea what happened.
Did anybody check if the outlet is in Norfolk, Virginia?
No, because that's actually, I don't know where they are. They could be there.
Oh, well, then it's in Philly.
Yeah.
It'll be in Philly.
Yeah.
That would drive me insane.
Yeah. So
that
you have
so weird.
Multiple witnesses, no idea where the outlet went. How could it leave?
It makes me think of, do you in those old cartoons, one of my favorite gags they used to do was this one where a woman would be getting her hair done at a like salon or whatever, and she'd put money in the meter, the parking meter. And as she's like having a good time or whatever, she realizes like, oh, the meter's going to run out. So she runs out to put coins in. But earlier in the cartoon, they showed these guys come up and like, dun, 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 and they remove the meter and put a fire hydrant there.
Yeah.
And then when she comes up, she's like, what? I came with coins because I was going to pay more on my parking toll. Like this was a parking spot. He's like, right, ma'am. And someone just replaced it only to annoy you.
Yeah.
That's the way it feels.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes life really feels that way. Like that, right? And someone did this just to annoy you. But no, that's what it feels like. So I think somebody is evil and got rid of that outlet.
And like covered it up so that everything matched perfectly on the wall. Wow.
I mean, the first thing I would have done is started kicking holes in the wall until I found that outlet because I know it's there. Yeah. Also, I have not had a gainful employment in a very long time. So, that plays a factor too. But no, that was pretty good. That's a good glitch. Cause like my favorite thing about these glitch in the Matrix stories is that they're relatable. Like I could see feeling like, well, that's weird. And the human mind is very odd. One time I was so overstressed that I couldn't find a package that I needed to mail, but I had mailed it earlier that day.
Oh, wow.
But then I received a package that looked very similar to it. And I was like really like almost to the point of tears. I was so stressed out from my whole day. So when so my brain was like, no, it was here. But what had happened was I'd mailed the package and then I had received a package that looked like it, opened it, taken the stuff out and collapsed it. Yeah. So there was no box anymore, but my brain was like, no, but I had a box here. So the human mind is super finicky, but this one with other people also aware and stuff. Yeah. That is frustrating.
It's weird, especially because it was a joke. It was something that they talked about. Yeah. And it's just not there anymore.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't know. What do you think happened?
I have no idea.
This is one
Maybe
of those
it's
where I
not
don't have a
real.
theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe it's all made up.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. So.
Yeah, that's all I've got too.
Mhm.
Because like usually we have a theory, but I don't have a theory on that one. That one's tough. I mean, unless it's just that, like, the only guess I could have is that it just plain only he is really misremembering where the outlet was,
Mm-hmm.
and that everybody else is just kind of following his lead because that's like, why would they really care where the outlet is?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
That's the only solution I could think of.
Yeah.
Eesh. So what else you got, Ked?
I have another one that's kind of like that if you want it.
I want it.
Okay, so this is a weird one, and I don't know. And this one is like, is this real? So there's this like person and their mom, and they decide to go to a town for like vacation, just like an hour away from them, not too far.
Yeah.
And I have no idea where this is in the country.
Okay.
But they're like shopping. It's got like nice shops and stuff. And they find a Thomas Kincaid gallery and store.
Okay.
Yeah.
The artist.
If you don't know, is like an artist that paints stuff with light in it, and it makes it look all, kind of,
like Light Bright, making art with light.
Yeah, exactly. But it's supposed to be kind of spiritual and stuff like that. So anyway, they decide to go in because the person's mom like really likes Thomas Kincaid, and actually they just lost their house in wildfire. And so they lost the painting that they used to have over the mantle or wherever.
Right.
So they go in and they see the painting like, oh, cool, but they don't have enough money because they haven't gotten insurance money yet.
Right.
But they like talk to the lady and they ask her if like this is a temporary thing, like temporary gallery, and she's like, no, this is like a permanent thing and all this stuff. So she takes their number just in case they sell the painting before they can come back, and they take the store's number so that they can call and check if they get the money. And they leave, and like 3 months later, they get the money from the insurance and they go back. Well, no. They decide it's a good idea to go back and get the painting, but they call first. No one answers. So they just like, okay.
How did they have the number? Do they mention like they kept a card or something, or they look it up?
I assume because it's now that they kept it in their phone or something. Who knows?
Okay,
I don't know.
Sure.
But they had the number. They had been given the number. So they called, no answer. They called a bunch of times. No answer. That's okay. They go to the place and there's not even a building there. It's an empty lot. And they're just like, what? This was here. And so like, they're like, maybe we misremembered where it was. And they're like going online and searching. No evidence this ever existed here. So, and then they go across the street because there's a candy store across the street. And they say like, what happened to the Thomas Kincaid thing? And the person who's like, I worked here for 2 years or something is like, what are you talking about? It's always been like a parking lot across the street. So they're like, I don't understand at all. So I don't remember exactly what happened next. I mean, they left. But then at some point, they got a call from the store saying, I don't remember what they said. Like, oh, we still have it if you're still interested.
I thought they'd be like, join us.
Yeah.
Stay here forever.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, what? And they're like, okay, well, it's there. They go back and it's there again. And they go to the candy store across the street and they're like, what are you talking about? So they don't know what happened, but it's back.
That sounds like that's too good. Because the going back to the candy store is the part that makes me go, because I can imagine just being mistaken. Like when you're not from a place, like blocks look the same, but if they went back to the candy store.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. They were in the right spot because it had the same candy store across the street. So, like, what happened?
I don't know. That one I can't even try to guess.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't have the reconfirming of the candy store, I would say, oh, you were just confused.
Mm-hmm. But even then, like, they couldn't find any evidence that the business existed, like, online. The number that they had didn't work all of a sudden. Like, I don't know.
No, I agree. I this one's got me.
Yeah.
So, well, on that note, we're going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us here at Monthly Spooky. We sure have enjoyed doing the show for now over a year. You and I sit down at the end of every month and talk about spooky stuff, just like any responsible adults would, you know? So thank you all so much for listening, and I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names at the end of the show. And if you want to join them, you can go to weeklyspooky.com and click on Patreon. Join up for as little as $1 a month. You get all kinds of benefits. But these folks get to hear their names on the program, and they are Johnny Nix, Megan Hua, Julia Kirsch, Brent McCullough, Steve King, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next month right here. Say goodbye, Michelle.
Oh, bye.